Welcome back to Plot Points, friends, the place where we bring together some of the greatest players on the internet to entertain you, to have some fun together. Hey, Spicy, welcome. Thanks for that subscription. You rock, Spicy. You are always awesome. I'm going to actually be stepping away for one brief moment to check on my kitty cat that decided that now was the time to knock over a glass, literally as we were starting up. So I'm going to let the players do a quick recap. I would suggest in chat, ask them any questions that you have. Yeah, hype us up, spread it around. I'm stepping away to go try and rescue a cat from doing kitten cat things. So I'll be right back, guys. Take it over. You should have audio. Go ahead and speak. Let me just double check.
The last time
Okay.
we found a way across a pit, and it was a heat metal kind of a issue in the room, and I got burnt really bad by this dog and my sword. And we came into this like alchemist lab, and we found the skeletal remains of a creature and a bunch of alchemy like potions and other devices and things like that. And I think Nerida investigated the amulet, and then Remy took the amulet, and the ghost started following, and they were able to communicate in some way. So I'll let you guys.
Yeah, it seemed like the ghost was trying to get Remy to. He said it was something along the lines of it was incredibly important that he get control of the monodrone because it knows more about this room or something like that, or something about its master.
Be important considering also in this room is a table with a bunch of alchemical potions that we don't know what they do.
Take all the potions.
That's what
Drink
I'm
them
thinking.
all at the same time.
Maybe not that part.
Now we're talking. Step 1, find a demon's mouth to jump through. Step 2, drink all the potions.
all the potions.
Step 3, question mark. Step 4, profit.
Profit. Good. We're all there. 100%. The potions will make it so we can kill the ghost.
Yeah.
I am in the Abyssal Sea tonight because I figured out how to do this.
I'm in the
So I'm
Abyssal
floating.
dorm room, as per usual.
You have even more colors in your wardrobe than you did last time.
It's a lot.
There are
improved.
2 more colors, in fact.
There-
Two
I think
more
there's
pinks.
3, actually.
No, because all the blues count as 1.
Yeah. It's 2
Because it was
pinks
always all
and
blue.
all blue.
There's a gray.
Gray doesn't
lot.
count as
Red.
color.
There's a red in
Gray,
there.
blue, a
Yeah,
gray, blue.
there's a red, there's an orange, and there's a purple.
Mm.
There was already an orange last time.
He's not wearing blue.
That's true.
Yeah.
Look at that.
There we go. There we go.
I'd have to give him that. I wasn't gonna.
My
give
beard's
him
red, so.
We're all blue.
Okay, we're gonna rewind.
So you're listening to 45.5 The Weasel, our daily talk show. Talking about
Weekly.
D&D before we play D&D.
Yeah.
The Weasel is daily. You just have to subscribe to our premium deluxe package. It also comes with a free car warranty.
I know I subscribe to that.
We're trying to reach you about your extended car warranty.
And this is
I'm
how
glad
we've finally done it.
I'll be
My
contacting my
name-
lawyers, Chewy Deedham and Chewy. What is it? Cheatham, Dewey, and Howe. That's it.
Hi, my name's D'Angelo. What was my last name, Clayton?
Times. Why am I Clayton now? To you, I'm
'Cause it-
Clayton.
it-
Did I
well,
play
it's-
Clayton that well, or is it that it's so close together?
It's so close to Colton that Clayton is very easy to say by accident. For those watching at home, Clayton
And don't
is
know, for
a
those who
character
don't know
he
what's
plays.
going on,
And
I
don't
don't
care.
know what's going on either, so
and they
don't worry
care.
about
They
it.
don't care either. They don't care
Indeed.
that we play D&D for fun.
Yeah, only for the ones that are for their entertainment.
Oh my, too funny, too funny.
Gosh.
Well, I'm sure that our cast here has already given you all the updates so that you know exactly where all they're at. That they are speaking kind of pseudo sort of with the undead at the moment and making some strange connections there. But hey, Nobody's quite as strange as our crew because they'd make the most magical things happen. We want to pick right up for our viewers. We'll give them a quick. I hope the screen is set. I don't know. Kitty-do, boom, boom, boom. I don't know. I have no idea, actually. I don't think I put any of the names in this one. Good enough for tonight. There we go. See? I can see already they're messing around on Roll20, but this is where we left it last session. So we had the undead down here that you can see was actually speaking and connecting. I think it was Remy actually had the amulet at that time, and Huxley came over. I'm working from memory a little bit. Thanks for that, bringing in Monty. Monty's down here. There was a little undead guy down here because Athos was checking out the skeleton on the floor in front of it. And Klaak was watching the doorway for anything else coming. And Klaak, you actually do hear some sounds. It sounds like voices in the far distance. Now, you saw no other offshoots on the way down here. If you remember, you had already crossed over the invisible floor pit trap. Come down quite a ways to get to this. But now you hear some voices back from where you came, and it does not sound like the singing chanting as before. The individual who had reached out touched on both of them and had, do you remember, did you write down, Nerida, what he said at the end?
I think he talked to Huxley and Remy.
Yeah, I think it was Huxley, not me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he talked to Huxley and I. It was something along the lines of the monodrone knows something, and I need to use the controller to get him to share that information. And the controller is this rod that I believe Huxley found.
The controller, the controller is actually a person. The rod, yes, is a control rod. And there was a whole thing where he had spoken to you because you were like, "Oh, well, aren't I the or I think it was you? Mm-hmm. Aren't I the controller if I already have it and I don't need the rod?" But no, that wasn't what he talked about. I don't remember his exact phrasing because I did not write it down, and we were doing other things right before the show, so I did not tune into my own stream to go back 3 weeks and listen to it. Free wild magic to the individual who's watching who wants to go back and listen to the last 5 minutes of the show where he spoke.
Whoa.
Yeah, why not? You know, we're having fun with it. So let somebody go check that out and figure out what they want to do and put in there. Of course, our staff is all, or our cast is all like, wait, we'll go watch it really quick. They're like, no wild magic. That's all right, because you don't have Shade in here tonight, so Shade's usually our wild magic king.
I have the points. I'll make me screw us our own party over.
I think something's coming, you people. What the hell is that? You know,
this strange undead figure that again had risen up and now is touching both the amulet on one side and I believe it was Huxley on the other. We're kind of working from memory a little bit. We'll massage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you okay, Lore Master? What is this thing?
I think it's neutral? I don't want to say friendly. There's something with the monodrone.
Something coming from the hallway anyway. What can we hide? Do you want to fight them?
Fight them? No, something tells me that wouldn't go very well. Damn it. I really need to know what was said in that last session, so I'm going to go look right now.
Well, this is why we always take a little time. Ours was a little bit busy today. I think we might have people back in the right pod, might not.
Kitty, do you happen to remember what the guy said? Oh gosh.
Which guy?
The ghost.
Skeleton.
Ghost skeleton man. Yep. Yeah, me.
That puts everybody back in the right spots.
Oh, that's maybe because
with
it's
the
only
exception
on
of
the YouTube
Huxley.
and not on the. We don't have the VOD of it. Sean, do you have a rough idea of what might have been said?
Oh, I've got a rough one, but it's pretty darn rough.
I'll take the rough.
But I gotta finish moving this first. Now that Kitty Doe is logged in, I'm having to move one or two things. So sorry to our viewers as we do a last minute try and make things good for you guys. We're always trying to bring you our best, but sometimes
we just recently adopted a cat.
There's the cat. Show us the cat.
The cat is under the bed.
Oh, baby.
What color
she's
cat is it?
adjusting. She's a calico.
Oh.
cat. Well, congratulations on the new adoption.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How is it? A young cat, an old cat?
She was born in October, so she's not
fairly
quite a
young.
year old yet.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and hasn't quite learned to be super affectionate yet. Okay, and
I like
Aaron
the
will
hat,
have to
Kitty.
deal with having another
Thank
female in the
you.
house. Yeah, great hat.
Everything was done last minute. My hair's kind of a wreck, so I figured it was time to put a hat on.
Oh, and by the way, they are on YouTube as well. All the past shows and whatnot. So they are absolutely there. Just wanted to let you all know that we did get those uploaded. So that would make it actually really easy to find the last few minutes. However, the individual reaches out, and we'll just kind of retcon that moment, reaches out, touches upon them, and says you must not let him gain hold of this. You must wipe him out. And as you're looking at him, this cold figure which has reached out towards you and is touching you, can feel a cold emanation coming over you. Huxley, you were the other one that we were all thinking it was you that he connected with, right? Because he was touching the amulet that Remy was holding, and we were remembering it as you. Does that sound right to your memory?
I just remember recently getting into the
I think. Okay, remember Huxley was trying to put the spirit to rest.
Yes, okay. Yep,
so
yep,
you were
yep.
all up.
Yeah,
you were
no,
all
he
up
talks
in their
to
grill.
me. Yeah, and he told me, yep, I remember now. Okay. Right, because he wanted to, put him to rest officially. And so he got a message, Huxley got a message from the spirit being told something akin to did he not want him to have the amulet? Something, I don't know.
It was just vague enough. And that's very close, yeah. Because he says something about you must not let him have it and whatnot. And as he rises up this way, starts saying this, you feel this cold emanation come over you, and you hear a hissing sound come from over towards where the altar is, where the monodrone is and the skeleton. Klaak, in the meantime, you've heard noises from up the hallway. What would you like to do? Now, of course, Nerida hasn't heard any of this. This was strictly inside of the individuals' minds who are both holding the amulet, which is Rembrandt and Huxley, who had reached out.
I'll guard the door, give you as much time as I can. Something's coming for sure.
Dear, that's not good at all. Who is he? Who can't have it? He's, Rembrandt's looking at.
Oh, you're
the
asking.
spirit,
Okay, I
saying,
thought you were
yes.
responding to Klaak.
No.
I was like, the spectral entity says, the one that you must have come for, surely. And you're finding that the grasp on your mind as the cold starts to wash over you is becoming more faint, like there was a snowstorm blowing in and starting to chill you along this amulet that you're holding and going up your arm, almost like your fingers are going numb. And his voice getting more quiet, and in the distance as he says, he who you've come to see, this is the only one here. No one comes here except to see him. And the voice is becoming more and more distant.
Dorcil?
And as you start to suffer damage from holding onto the coal, you ask one last question, Dorcil, and he says, yes, the vile one. And with that, the shade actually turns from this figure that you've seen of this priest-like, heavy-set individual that had risen up from the skeleton, and in a screaming moment turns into a ghast before you. and immediately goes on the attack, reaching out. That cold that was coming up your arm is automatic damage because you're already in contact with it. You get a con save to half the damage. Otherwise, it'll be 8 points of necrotic damage.
That is an 11 on my Constitution saving throw.
That actually will do it for this first round because he's not at full strength.
So that's 4 damage.
Oh, Devil's Bargain. Who are you giving it to?
Hey, Coley, thanks for tuning in.
Rembrandt.
To me, it looks like.
Rembrandt gets Devil's Bargain. So you can add a D4 to one of your rolls, Rembrandt.
Right. Should we roll initiative?
Well, I guess we really could if you really want to fight it. I mean, or you could just, destroy it really quick with just saying go away.
Sort of murdering me right now. So.
Yes, let's roll for initiative.
Okay. Initiative it is.
Oh, Klaak, you. I shouldn't be able to see that, but you're not looking so hot.
Ooh. Well, we're talking a 3 initiative, a 6 initiative. Well, I don't know why you rolled twice, but there must be something there. Nerida got a 19. Trust that rogue to always be on top. Kitty Doe gets a 5 for her initiative.
It's Huxley's asthma. He'll get there when he gets there.
I love Huxley.
He's already there. I'll get there.
I think Huxley has spell slots now, so this might not go well.
Huxley coughs. What? Oh.
I'm here.
Oh, Huxley! He was touching you too. I need you to make a con save for us, Huxley.
Snap.
He was already touching you both. Nice. You make it, so you take only half, and it'll be the same D8 cut in half for 4 points of damage.
Fully redeemed a minor wild magic surge.
Oh, cool. Minor wild magic surge. On it, brother. So, first spell to be cast, or magical device, will trigger that wild magic. So, just as a heads up to the players, we don't know what'll happen. It'll depend on the players' rolls, and we'll get into that 15,000 table and see what we can do.
Even on the minor one, it's the 15,000?
It is. It just depends on the what comes out of it. What we do is we rule out some of the top end. Go ahead.
If Rembrandt could he'd use his reaction to do hellish rebuke, saying, "Get back!" and doing that whole thing, if I may.
Hellish rebuke. That does not use a spell slot, does it?
No, it doesn't use a spell slot because it's a racial ability.
Very good. All right, I need to relink Sirenscape because nobody's
hearing anything. It is a spell, so maybe if you want.
It is technically a spell, just doesn't use a spell slot?
Yeah.
You can do that like once per day or something?
Once per long rest.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find to log into Alex. You're going to have to send me a link, Alex, so that I can get the Sirenscape sounds up for everybody.
Oh, I wasn't running Sirenscape.
Oh, okay, then never mind. All right, then cool. I was just like, it's not working. That's fine.
I think my subscription's expired, actually.
I told you to use mine. Dude.
But then you're not able to listen.
No, I listen to it. I do. I absolutely do. Because whoever's streaming it, I just log in. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. All right. Bam, bam, bam. So, interesting. There's always minor attack. Feeling lucky, minor, hellish rebuke. That actually just requires a wisdom, or which save is it for me? Because they get
dexterity saving throw, DC 13.
3. That would be a huge fail.
17 fire damage.
Very nice.
And because it has not come to full power yet, it is literally just being brought in. You send this surge of fire down through you, driving out the cold and driving this thing, which goes up. That wail that it was starting goes into nothingness as it evaporates. And as you do so, there's a flame that starts over at the skeleton on the floor and reduces it to ash instantaneously.
Do I still have the amulet?
You do.
Right then. If we're still in the initiative order, it's still Nerida's turn.
We do not have to be in initiative order.
Okay.
The current threat is gone.
All right.
I'd go over to the table and investigate these potions. Make sure there's no like traps on them or any weirdness going on the table.
Well,
Now
judging
this-
by the fact that the body on the floor had a potion with it, you're sure something's up. One of the two most interesting aspects that immediately jump out at you is as you look at the potions, one of them is bubbling. Actually, more than one is bubbling. But you, with your keen eyes, recognize that there is writing on the actual altar itself below some of the fine dust that is there. I believe... Well, let's see. Yeah, you don't recognize the writing.
I can't read.
Rembrandt's gonna try and use the time available. He tried doing ritual casting Identify, but since with that interruption, I think he's just gonna try and cast Identify with the 1 minute that uses the spell slot. So that's gonna be a wild magic surge too.
Give me a D15,000 if you would, please, sir.
Okay, I'll go ahead and do the Identify spell as well.
Oh, what happened to my roll 20? My roll 20 has disappeared. There we go.
5,816.
Woo! Well, let me get into that and figure out where we're at with that. Boom. And wild magic. Go down to the 5s. Alright, well, I haven't been over here. Alright. Oh my. And then it's 816.
More are coming.
Just a minute, I have to figure out what the hell this is.
As you're looking at it, you get this idea of a sun. That, of course, you're looking at a symbol of sun, and that makes total sense. But it's like the sun is burning hot. And as you're identifying it, you're like, okay, so there's heat, there's something doing with this. And the sun's in the sky, and you're like, oh, suns fly overhead. And it's coming across to you that there's this idea of it rising through the sky. And as you're looking at it, you get this thought of, well, if I were flying through the sky, and as you do, it turns into this little bird that bursts into flame, and the amulet, the chain's wrapped down around it, and it becomes this miniature phoenix flying in your hand and starts to burn your hands as you're touching it. For the next 8 rounds, you have a miniature phoenix that is with you. Your magic has somehow twisted as you were trying to identify it into taking part of your imagination and making it real.
So I just turned the amulet into
A phoenix for the next 8 rounds. So, a little over a minute.
Rembrandt will probably take the amulet away from him.
The chains came down off of you, and it's all one.
So he's no longer on fire and say, I did something, pretty birdie?
The phoenix flaps around, leaving a trail of fire in the air as it flies around you, saying, pretty birdie. It doesn't seem to want to leave you. It does want to try and rest on your shoulder.
Fire's not that scary, but Rembrandt will try to avoid getting burnt by it and sort of say, is this meant to do this?
Probably not.
I've never known an amulet to turn into a bird.
Isn't this isn't your god a sun god? Did he do this?
Lathander? Yes. The morning lord.
He did this?
I've never seen him work in such ways, but he does work in mysterious
Is he
ways.
big on birds?
He could be.
What about you, Klaak? You had a chain breaker or something. Could he have done this?
No. This is what you did.
That's a win for Lathander, then.
No, this isn't my fault. I didn't break it.
I didn't say you broke it.
It must have been faulty equipment.
I was just saying that this is a good thing for Lathander.
Why do you always move your hand like that whenever you mention Lathander?
It's his symbol. The sun with a pathway going in towards it. So like the sun is setting, and then there's a pathway going towards it. So
but do you always have to
and
do
sun.
that whenever you? Oh God, the bird!
The bird continues to try to land on your shoulder, and every time it does, it's just hot enough that with your resistance, you're like starting to feel very uncomfortable quickly. You realize that it'll burn what little outfit you have. I actually don't even remember what you're wearing now as far as an outfit.
I have a.
Did we loot a
I
body?
think I have regular clothes now, I believe, but just like one set of clothing.
So yeah, you really need to keep the bird off of you, otherwise it's going to set your clothing on fire, this little burning bird. But it doesn't seem to be extinguishing as it's flying about. Klaak, you're looking at this bird, and I'll tell you, you've tasted fish now, you've tasted other things. I don't know, have you ever eaten a burning bird before?
Already cooked. Could be good. I was kind of worried about this. Lathander, does he take many souls?
The Thander takes all those whom are willing and good people.
Only the willing, though.
Yes, he does not simply steal a soul that does not desire him.
And is he a
Why?
powerful?
Are you looking to convert?
Well, I thought we were going to go to a god's lair, but this seems to be like some kind of den of death or something. I don't know.
I agree.
No,
the
no,
Thander
far
is
better.
not-
This is apparently Dorseel's lair or something.
What is
Wizards
Dorseal?
come here. The great goblin inventor.
Oh, a great goblin lives here.
An inventor, maybe. I mean, judging by the bird. But I don't know if he's a goblin or not.
Maybe that's who's coming.
Maybe.
You might know him. You might know him by Celador.
I don't know any cellar doors.
I thought it was your job to know all the inventors, Rembrandt.
I do. That's why I mention it. That's why I know his
But why would
name.
you assume? Why would you assume somebody else would know about him?
You're much better at dodging this than I am.
Thank you.
The bird continues to circle around. Really, now it's trying to land on Remy's horns as he does so, since the bird's catching on quickly that you don't want it on your shoulder. Are you willing to let it lay on your horns?
No. Yeah, stop it.
He continues to dance around, moving it away. In the meantime, Nerida ignores all that kerfuffle over there of you guys. She's checking out these potions, noticing that some of them are moving, some of them are bubbling. This writing on the table has caught your eye, but you can't interpret it. When Athos, who's standing nearby, smacks the sides of his head, looks at it, and he says, and he starts reading it without even asking a question. He just says, "Oh, no time to speak with lesser minds. If your purpose is true, find your way through and I'll answer one question for you and your crew. The wall is thick. Prove your worth. Mix a potion to do the trick."
Potion mixing.
And there was actually two sets of writing there. The DM kind of screwed up because the first set that I read was actually written on the wall behind it, blending in. And the second part where it says the wall is thick is actually written on the bench top. So he would have read those to you out of order, but...
But he's
remember-
making acid potion, right? If the wall is thick, we're supposed to get through the wall?
Well,
Yes.
those... Oh, yeah, I guess you would have heard Athos read that out loud, yeah.
Yes. When Rembrandt hears Athos read that out loud, he'll also say, Athos, I have a bit of an idea. I think you might be able to grab the bird, and if you grab the bird, you could take some of its feathers. Those might be very valuable. I don't know, it's a magic bird. Magic bird feathers could be useful as some reagent of some sort. Yes, yes?
Athos does as you command, comes over, grabs the bird, and as soon as he does, you see, I forget what he was looking like. Was he looking as his, like, just mechanical self at that point?
I think he was looking like he was either looking like Klaak or the Drow, I think, right?
Yeah, I thought he had changed into somebody else. And as you do, you see him try to grab the bird, and he snatches it. And as he does, he snatches the bird in his hand, and you see his hand burst into flame.
Maybe
Oh,
you
dear.
could blow the bird. That's always an option, too.
Well, maybe it might not be hurting him.
That doesn't look pleasant.
Well, you don't
Ow.
know. He's a construct. They don't feel
Ow.
pain.
Oh, yeah,
maybe they do.
I definitely
Let
feel
go.
pain. And he
Let go,
opens his
Athos, it's
hand,
fine.
and when he
We'll
lets
take a
go
feather or
of the
two.
bird, The bird starts flying around, goes right back towards Remy, but you see that the hand, we're going to assume that it was the drow, because I don't remember which one he was, that he was looking like the drow. The hand doesn't look like a drow hand at all. It's become this half mechanical thing, and you see some of the mechanics underneath what was covered with fabric before, and the fabric is now burned and charred and whatnot. So he's like, oh, it appears that I've lost part of myself.
Good one.
Fascinating.
You hurt the drow. That's good.
Nerida, what do you want to do with all this?
Has it been 2 minutes yet?
No, you guys really only spoken. Had something read out loud.
Huxley's gonna try and call the bird over to him.
Go ahead and make an animal handling check.
Does Klaak know what a solvent is?
You
Assume not.
No.
Huxley, from out of nowhere, starts calling this bird over, and you guys can hear Huxley tell it that it's this big, sexy bird. And, you know, as he does, somehow it just appeals to this bird, and the bird flies to Huxley. Huxley, where does it land on you?
Huxley's gonna give it his arm.
Huxley offers over his arm to the bird, and the bird seems to willingly accept and land on your arm. I need you to make a con save, please.
I'm gonna activate,
Put the headband
Hell
on.
Thoughts.
Put the headband on. You have a suggestion from one of your own to put the headband on, and it might help you understand exactly what you need to do.
To make myself immune for fire for the next 3 turns.
Okay, you are immune to fire for the next 3 turns.
And while that's going on, I have no idea if this is going to work, but Huxley's got a general idea, I think, of himself. And he's not smart enough to think that this might not work. If he can, he would like to gently pluck a feather off of the bird and eat it to try for this thing. For the final one, Elemental Flames.
You reach into the flames and snatch part of the flames and can feel something yanking it out. The bird squawks as you do so, screaming loudly, turning back into an amulet in your hand. And you try to eat this feather, you said?
I was going to, but now there's no bird.
No, but you have this burning feather in your hand that you shove in your mouth as the amulet, or the bird turns into an amulet in your hand, and you have this feather in your mouth, which is like...
I'm gonna slowly pull it back out! I wasn't expecting that!
You ate my bird.
Your pets, Remy.
Now, did I actually get gain any knowledge from my identify spell?
Perhaps if you had gotten it back in your hand, let's just say that your identify spell is still in the work, because it takes about a full minute, and as soon as you get it back in your hands, we'll give you the results of that.
Okay.
Because right now you trouble identifying, you don't even have it.
Huxley, could I get that back, please?
He holds up the
you said things were coming? What sort of things?
Loud things. I can't see them.
Well, hit the loud things if they come in, yes?
Of course.
Klaak, you've now noticed in your hearing, I'd like you to make a perception roll, please, and let's just go based off of whatever that is. We'll give you more or less information.
What's the kid doing right now, by the way?
We don't actually have him on the map.
He's with us, though.
Pretty good one for Klaak.
He is over looking at the walls behind the actual altar that has all the apothecary devices on it. He seems intrigued, focused on these holes in the wall.
That's an 8.
Klaak, it sounds like a mosh pit going on in the distance. You're like, there's screams, delight. They might have started a party without you. It could be a bunch of goblins that have come to actually start, fighting one another, because that's a big thing and part of the, Goldar. You want to fight and whatnot. So that might be something, you want to check out. Party without you. And they didn't invite the king. Jerks.
Yeah. I think I should investigate. I'm going to head in there.
So you start heading back up the hallway, back up the staircase, back towards all this distance that you had come to get towards the pit that you had previously crossed. That's going to take a little time, so I'm going to cut over to these guys. Nerida, what are you up to?
I'm still trying to investigate the potions themselves, see if I can recognize anything about them.
You can make an Arcana check at disadvantage because you haven't actually tasted them. You're just going by visibility at this moment.
10.
A 10. You're pretty sure, judging by some of the smells coming out of the one that's bubbling and whatnot, and the others, and again, you're like, I've seen things like this before. You notice that you have seen individuals who have been on some of the ships that have used potions, but other than the fact that you're pretty certain that this clear one over here is not water because it appears thick when you move it around a little bit, you're like, it's probably not water. That's about the best that you're going to get out of it just from a visual. You might want to try sampling them, tasting them, using them, doing something else. You'll have to do a little more to engage it.
Okay. I'm going to pull out, I have, where is it? I'm going to pull out like a ball bearing or 2 or 3 or so, and I'm going to, instead of sampling them like taste-wise, I'm going to make like a drop on each ball bearing just to make sure none of these are like a very potent acid.
Okay. You start doing that, taking down some of the big beakers while everybody else is doing their thing, and as you do, you've got this line of ball bearings on the bench, and about 6 in, the minute that the drop hits the ball bearing literally starts to smoke, and in about 10 seconds, the whole ball bearing has dissolved, and it's put a hole in the top of the bench.
Okay, number 6 is bad. Potent acid thing.
The other ones, one of them appears to have made a ball bearing disappear. Another one number 3 has actually turned a ball bearing. You didn't see any bubbling, anything else, but the ball bearing started to smoke and then just go into the air. So you're not sure what happened with that one.
So it like pumped into the air and then was gone?
It didn't go up into the air. It literally seemed to like waver in and out of existence and then become like, a mist almost, and then just go away. So, but it didn't look like acid. I don't want to make it sound like it was bubbling away. Kind of tough to describe as it.
Okay, that's fine. Which one is the water? Which number is that one?
8.
Or the not water?
Number 8 is not water.
All right. I'm going to place them in order of where I've tested the ball bearings so that I can keep sure of which one I've tested where.
Okay.
And the one that has, do these have like cork stoppers on them or stoppers at all on them?
Some of them actually had pipes going into them. None of them are built for travel per se, where you just like stop it and throw it into a bag. Because again, this is an apothecary bench, so some of the beakers are very big. Other ones are smaller. But it appears almost like a place where you would mix and match to make different things.
Okay. I am going to quickly pull another ball bearing and try mixing number 8 with number 6, like a drop of each at the same time. Or like in a little vial if there's one, and then try to put it on a ball bearing.
Okay. You start using one of the empty flasks nearby, like what the individual had on the floor, and start mixing and matching. You start putting a little bit of the 8 with the number 6.
Come in, let me just do some casual chemistry, BRB.
And as you do, it starts it seems almost like this mixture, after you swirl it around, starts to move and on its own, and you actually see it start crawling up this kind of greenish glob-like thing, comes up the side of the beaker. It's only about the size of your thumb at the moment, but it definitely appears to, magically be doing something other than sitting at the bottom.
The ball bearing.
Okay, as you do, it comes out and it literally forms all around the ball bearing, perfectly in a sphere, like keeps the ball bearing in the middle. And as it does so, it kind of rolls around and you see the ball bearing through it because it's semi-translucent, and it starts moving over towards one of the other ball bearings and then goes over that one, and it's bigger, and now you can see both ball bearings floating around inside it as it starts bloop, you're moving along towards one of the other ball bearings, and it gets a little bit bigger. And you're looking at this, and now there's 3 floating around in it, and it moves along the tabletop, going towards another one, and now it's about the size of maybe 3 or 4 fingers, and it's slowly gathering up all the ball bearings off your top. At one point, it touches where that acid was, and you see it recoil and move back, and then slowly move over, and then where the one that had disappeared entirely, you actually notice something, that the ball bearing goes over something that was actually still there, and you get the idea that the ball bearing had become invisible, and it goes into it, which makes for a real interesting effect as you see these other ball bearings and then this kind of hole inside the ooze-like creation that's continuing to crawl and move and get bigger as it goes.
Okay, are there any empty jars that have tops that could be sealed that are empty? Yeah, there's a couple of the large ones where, there's no way, because again they have tubes going into them where they grab it. I guess if you used a rag to some of them have a almost cork type stopper with old glass going into it, and you could probably shove a rag in there and make it work, but there's no... I feel like the acidic one would destroy the rag. I want some of that acid to spray on an enemy.
Well, you can carry the big jug with you and whatnot. I mean, just use it on the first one.
What'll happen is I'll trip, and then you'll have it spill over me, and then it'll just be messy.
It could be. That could definitely happen. That's a wise, adventuring thought.
I'm going to, since Huxley had the idea, and I know Huxley's not very bright, but Huxley had the idea of trying to dissolve the wall. I'm gonna take that jug. I'm gonna say, okay, everybody, stay back, just in case he's. And I'm gonna just very carefully splash some on the wall.
You splash some.
I'm making sure that Saren has moved away first.
Yep, Saren, who was actually sucking on a hole and blowing through it and looking through it with his eye, moves back at your request. You throw some of this on the wall, and what you're assuming is acid. The splash kind of goes across it and whatnot. There's a momentary hiss and a sizzle, and you see that it etches into the wall quite a bit before it rolls down to the ground. You probably got about 2 more uses out of it that you can use. It does not eat away the entire wall or anything, but it does seem to clean the surface of it, and along the ground it's continuing to bubble and hiss on old dust and dirt that's gotten there. Hello, kitty cat. Welcome to the family. Oh, that's a cute little kitty. An adorable little kitty.
Yes,
it looks like she doesn't want to be there.
No, she's
like, I don't know you. Who is all this? Such a strange place.
Everything is new.
That's it. Oh, but there's a good rub.
Yeah. Oh, we're moving.
There you go. Bye.
It's him. Okay. I'm gonna very quickly take out another ball bearing, and I'm gonna try to mix number 8 with number 3.
Okay. In the meantime, as you've been working on, you now come back and you realize that the blob that you left has gotten quite a bit bigger. It's actually overtaken one of the beakers and whatnot that's there. So now it's about twice the size of your hand. and whatnot, and you can also see that the Barbarians are gone in it. Everybody else is kind of just doing their own thing. You start mixing some of this, what was it now, 8 and 3? So
Yeah.
you take some of this clear liquid, pour it in with the other one, which is actually kind of a bluish in color, the one that turned it, into this mist. And as you mix the two together, you see an immediate frothing. It bubbles over the top like a skyrocket towards the ceiling, flushes out to the sides, comes pouring out in this non-stop stream, hitting the ceiling, splashing over the side, runs towards this, going over the beakers, splashes you. I need you to make a dexterity save, please.
Okay. 18.
18. You somersault backwards just in time as it starts pouring over the counter along the ground, hits Athos, who hasn't even moved yet, is just kind of standing there, hits Monty, who's like got his one arm and he's just like, the eye blinks and he's just standing there. Your dog is actually smart enough, Remy, to back away quickly. So yeah, your dog like takes off. She gets some distance. Dog moves away. Monty and this are in it. We don't have one for Saren, who's back over here. Or Saren had moved away. He steps away and whatnot. But this is just funneling out quickly. And all of you who are standing near the door are safe as it pours out about 10 feet from it. Takes about 30 seconds before it finally stops. And you see this foam that's covering everywhere. That's glistening. And the foam's over Monty. It's over Athos. It's on the walls and the ceiling. Most of the beakers there, and out a few moments later, you see part of the foam moving, and this foam starts moving forward, and as it does so, it starts disappearing, and it's going towards Monty and whatnot. Monty was just standing there waving, and you realize that green thing that was previously the size of 2 hands, now about 10 seconds later, has absorbed so much of this foam that it's now about the size of Monty. And literally goes up on Monty as you guys are all just standing there watching. The green thing starts going over him. And Remy, since nobody's doing anything, we'll have Monty make a saving throw, please. Versus, on this one, we're going to say, well, he's not moving because nobody's told him to move and whatnot. Make it a wisdom save. Should probably be a
do you want me to
con
just
save,
use
but-
monodrone stats?
Sure. That's what he is.
14.
Wonderful. As he starts having this come over him, Monty, starts wiggling back and forth, and the blob just starts going around and around and around, and he's like, and he can't move away, and he slaps at it with his hand as it then gets over his hand and starts going to him, and moments later, as you watch, Monty is totally wrapped up inside this Monty, the monodrone, is inside this blob, and Monty's like trying to stick a hand out from it, and the blob just kind of moves with him, and the blob is now easily the size of Athos, and Athos is not standing there. Athos moves away. He's still looking at his hand. What do you guys want to do? Oh, Klaak, I'm going to cut away to you.
The blob has Monty.
The blob has Monty. Klaak, you decided to sprint just because, hey, it's a party. Who wouldn't want to get to a party kind of quick? And as you get to the top of the stairs, you're looking out at what was the room with the floor and whatnot. We didn't leave any lights in there, but you have dark vision as a goblin. So you can actually see across it. And what you see is actually people, humans mostly, who appear to be coming through the door on the far side, stumbling forward. They faced out, and some of them have fallen into the pit. That's where you've heard some of these screams. Others are complaining. Some of them are talking about you. And one particular tiefling individual spots you across the way, because he can see here as well, and spots you and says, hey, they're over there. And somebody rushes forward and falls in the pit again through the floor.
Hey there. What are you all making all this noise for?
They're like, What's going on? And you can see the runes on the walls are starting to glow once again. Clearly somebody has brought some metal into this room and is activating them. They're like, hey, how do we get to where you are?
We used the rope.
They're like, yeah, it fell down already. As soon as we put a couple of us on it. How about we throw you the rope and you tie it over? Because they've got the rope on their end, and some of them throw the rope across to you.
All right, I'll tie it.
What do you want to tie it to?
Well, we had the pitton, right? Let me see if I have anything else.
The pitton is actually on the end of the rope because when they put two people on it, it just pulled out from the wall.
I'll just hold it. Bring one person across.
You're holding on to the one end, and you're kind of wedge yourself around the corner to give it, a little more leverage and whatnot. And one person starts coming across, and then all of a sudden you feel it getting heavier and heavier, and all of a sudden you're jerked out from around the side, and you're sliding towards the pit because, they didn't listen to you. They got a couple people on there, and you're being jerked right towards the pit. What do you want to do?
The rope.
You let go of the rope, and these two individuals fall down in the pit, and you hear, ah! And then you hear another simultaneous scream. And then there's only one scream for a long time, and a long time, and a long time, getting fainter and fainter into the distance. And then there's there's angry yelling from the other side, accusing you of, letting them go and fall to their deaths.
Yeah, they didn't listen.
Well, make a persuasion roll to see if you can convince this group.
You all can just stay over there. I don't mind.
Well, they're more than willing to let you try it again, so they throw the rope over to you.
All right, one at a time.
You stand around the edge, putting the rope around the edge again and holding onto it in this corridor. And as you do so, it gets heavier and heavier, and suddenly you feel yourself being dragged around the edge again. Do you want to let go again, or what do you want to
do? Is there more than one person on it?
If you go around the edge, you'll be able to see and find out, but because they weigh so much more than you, then you'll go flying towards that pit again. You can feel it getting heavier and being pulled out of your hands.
I'll try to keep holding it.
You continue to keep holding it. Go ahead and make an athletics check for me, please.
Nat 20 for 26.
Sweet! For our gamers and our viewers out there, nat 20s only exist, critical successes and failures only exist inside of the attack rolls. However, your DM can always choose to educate otherwise. I choose to be lenient more towards those. I give a bonus to it because I also like when a nat 1 can automatically fail. When you hear that, understand I just actually taught you the reason why they don't exist in ability checks, because as your character grows and you get proficiency, there are some things like an easy is a 5 that you should never fail because it's easy, and even if you rolled a 1 with your bonus, you would get more than that. But, let's honor those nat 1s and nat 20s as much as we can by giving bonuses to them or detracting at the lower end. In this case, Klaak, you hang on to this, you're holding on to it. When the person gets across, you realize that it's just this giant, fat banker type guy that was just so freaking heavy, and somehow, whether he chose to pay the others, and they're like, you hear some voices from the other side yell, well, you better pay us when we get there for letting you go first, and you realize that he offered money to let him go first to be the first one across, and the others held him. Maybe he just thought nobody else would hold it. But he comes over to you and also holds onto the rope, giving you advantage on further checks, and it becomes very quick that now you start bringing others across, adding his weight as a base on your side. Doesn't take much to start helping all the others across.
If anybody has a hammer or something to pin this to the wall, it could help us a lot too.
They explain the same thing that you already knew, which is, unlike you guys who were allowed to keep all your stuff, the guards for them took their stuff away because clearly these guys were already in trouble. You guys remember you weren't in trouble so much as you asked to come here. But the rest of these guys don't have any things that they could do damage with.
Oh, yeah, we asked to come here.
Yep, that was all you.
That's right. Somebody did ask that.
And what you quickly gather, Klaak, is that they realize, wow, you guys were allowed in with all your items. You went through this. Maybe that's the way out, and they've followed you now. So, quickly you determine that as they start speaking to you, all the rumors were false. They had heard that this was some horrible thing, and the guards always joked about, you can go into death this way, but clearly it's not death. And some of them are actually incredibly grateful to you, little goblin, and do the insulting thing of patting you on the head as if you were a child.
It's been death for some. I mean, not everyone makes it, but at least it's a chance.
Well, clearly they left that rope for us all to get across, and you guys were just smart enough to get across one at a time. We had a couple people get on it, and that's when it broke away. Where's everybody else?
Oh, in the next room, everything's going really well over there.
Great. They start pushing past you, and some of them are like, next room, that's it. They're like trucking down the thing while you're still talking to people, holding on to this. And after a little bit, you realize about 20 people have come through. The rest of the party, who's still dealing with this glob that is all the way over Monty. And slowly, as you're watching, one of his fingers falls off as he's still trying to wave his hand inside the thing. And part of the ring around his eye, the rivets and whatnot, starts to float away. And you realize whatever this ooze is slowly digesting Monty. Is everybody just going to, we're cool with it?
I don't know what to do!
Monty, get that thing off of you.
Monty continues to try and push at it with one arm, and you can see he's trying to walk, kick against it, but it's lifted him up into the center like it did the Barbarians, giving him no traction to get away.
Oh god, okay.
Godfrey, stay away from that thing.
Yeah.
Huxley's gonna go over and try to fight it.
Oh, Huxley, you're going to... Oh, dear.
What do I have? God.
Fists!
I'm gonna,
punch it.
as Huxley does that, I'm going to get a little bit of that acid, and I'm gonna not a lot, just a little bit, just kind of splash the corner of this ooze with it, since it seemed to not like it, and hopefully it doesn't go...
Alright, so... You throw...
Maybe it will just leave Monty.
You have 2 doses left. Are you just trying to drop a little bit and not use a dose, or what are you doing?
Oh yeah, shit! I have 2 doses. Only have 2 doses left. Yeah.
So are you?
I will. Remy, how valuable is this construct to you?
Well, I imagine he's fairly important if he was, associated with Dorseal. He isn't that bright, though.
Let me see the rod.
Okay. Hands the rod.
And I'm gonna take the rod, and I'm just gonna barely dip one tip of it into the
Acid?
into the acid to see if it eats at the rod, or to see if the rod is resistant to the acid.
Okay. That takes an action, a few seconds to see if there's a result and whatnot. What are the rest of you doing? What are your intents? Are you just waiting on her, or Huxley? Are you going in full swinging?
She's doing acid. Huxley's going and swinging. He doesn't know that she's aciding.
Okay. Fists, clubs, kittens.
He lost his mace, so I think he's... Do I have any fighting spells?
It's hard to fight the thing with acid when you don't want to lose your weapons.
I mean, he's already lost his mace, which is his main weapon.
I thought the mace was on your hip and you would have kept it.
No, because he gave it over to Klaak, I think, at some point to do something.
Okay.
Yeah. He doesn't have any fighting spells either. So I think...
Oh no, is the dumb boy gonna kick it?
Yeah, I think he's gonna punch it.
You're gonna punch it?
He's gonna punch it.
you don't even have to roll. Just you punch right into this glob, and your fist goes right into it. And as you do, you don't have magical fists or anything, right?
No.
Okay. As you do, you punch deep into it. It goes right up your arm. And as you go to pull your arm back, the glob kind of comes with you. I need you to make a con save, please.
I'm gonna add 6 plot points to that.
Okay, you make it a 15. As you do, you take half damage. You take 2 points of damage.
Okay.
And this is the equivalent of acid damage. You're going over you as it's trying to digest your arm, but you are also considered now, you have the grappled condition, which means you can't move away as the pseudopod has you.
Okay.
Let's roll for initiative just so that we have it down in case we need to actually use it, but otherwise we can talk through it. So if everybody would, drop me a quick init. Okay, and we'll drop Athos at the bottom. And I'm just going to loop together Athos. I'm just going to put together basically all our NPCs. Athos, Monty, Saren. Then we can pull off our undead guy because he's not there anymore. Okay. And let's just... there's not any there. We go. Remy, Huxley, Klaak, and Nerida. Okay, about this time, there's rushing at the door, and individuals start pouring in. And there are these various humans and whatnot. They're prisoners that you recognize, that you've previously encountered. Klaak is not yet with them. This is the leading envoy. He'll be through on the next round. But they start pouring in. Your dog just stays next to you, Remy. He's not particularly aggressive towards these individuals.
Okay. Well, Remy does have 2 javelins. I throw one at the slime ooze thing.
These are just regular javelins, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And
I don't know if you're proficient or not, but you can make your attack.
Well, all right. This one's infused in magic, sort of with magic, with the returning to himself. So maybe it will be fast because it goes. It's a returning throwable weapon because of his artifice. So maybe that will help.
Nice. I love it.
16.
You launch this javelin, pulling it out, throwing it in a straight line over your dog, right by Huxley, slip right into the green thing. Perfect, masterful roll. Now that it is infused with magic, by the stats, is it considered a magical weapon?
No, I don't think so. It just returns back to my hand.
Okay. Sloop goes right in, ding, hits Monty in the middle, and whatnot. Off of Monty, who kind of rolls over and floats to the side a little bit. And in one quick instant, the javelin flickers, almost half disappearing, and pulls back almost like you were watching stop action motion, pulling back towards you. What should have happened in a flash coming back to you pulls this line of ooze over Huxley's shoulder, straight back to you, appearing in your hand, and you guys see this long goo string of ooze through the air, right through the middle of the map here. So anybody that tries to walk through this is going to get hit by this string of ooze. But you did decrease the ooze monster size a little bit, and now the 3-fingered Monty has a hand that's partially covered with ooze free, and it's trying to get out.
Do you want me to roll damage or?
No, it was non-magical, so no damage.
Okay.
Not that your characters know that necessarily, but. And then we'll run through this. Anything else you're doing?
No, I don't. I think Rembrandt will just get away from the new people in case they're dangerous. They were in a prison after all.
Okay. You go ahead and move yourself where you want to get as far from the door because they're flowing in. Huxley.
Yeah, over there.
Huxley, you have a green pseudopod on your arm. What do you want to do?
Yes.
Murder. I just caught Spicy's comment.
So this is gelatinous, right?
Yes.
I want to try. Huxley is going to cast create or destroy water, and he's going to try and destroy, because it lets you go up to 10 gallons. Technically, it's like destroy water. You can destroy up to 10 gallons of water in an open container within range. But since the gelatinous thing is gelatinous, he's going to try and destroy its water. So, make it crunchy and nice and try for that. So he's casting create or destroy water, but as a sort of attack spell to remove its wateriness and make it into crunchy.
I love this
whatever's
idea.
Left after.
I love this idea. I'm going to have it make a save. Just because that's so creative and so interesting. And I rolled a nat 20, so yes, you it's high enough that you successfully do that, and you find that all the foam in the room, most of which it had been trying to absorb, whatnot, your spell goes out and all the foam goes away and leaves the floor for one quick moment dry, and then sloop comes back to you as if you are now controlling this liquid swirling mass.
Wait, so what happened?
Instead of doing what you wanted when it contacted the gelatinous ooze, which saved just fine, the gelatinous ooze had eaten some of this foam that Nerida created, and it connected with all the rest of the foam and put the foam basically, for the one round at least, under your control in some way. Kind of like when Nerida bends water and whatnot, your spell has gone wonky because Nerida has created some wonky magic monster which is twisting things.
Okay, so the foam hasn't just disappeared though?
The foam is no longer at the end of the room. The foam has condensed back into its liquid form that created the foam originally. And for one round is kind of hovering near you under your control.
Okay. I don't know what to do with that.
Ask give it to Nerida. Nerida's good with liquid.
Give it to Nerida. He's not an actual waterbender. This is all very new to Huxley.
Huxley's like, I like fire. This water thing, no. Well, hand it off to somebody if you would like.
Okay, yeah, I'm just going to hand it off to the next person in line.
Klaak, you are up, sir.
So
wow, they
in
rolled.
the room?
That's funny, you guys rolled in the order on the screen. Klaak.
I thought I was still in the other room, and then they were going through a whole line.
I was going to, but what the heck. We'll just role play it. You push through some people if you want, and you get there.
What the hell is that thing? And I'll run over with my sword and hit it.
I love your character is so focused. All right, whipping out, dragging this huge freaking sword behind him, which, by the way, at one point, one of the other individuals, while you were holding the rope, tried to take your sword and whatnot. So that individual is now in the room because when you got your sword back from him, he ran ahead into the hallway. He was one of the first ones in the room, and he's actually now cowering kind of behind Nerida up against the wall because he doesn't want to get involved in anything. He's got no weapons, anything else. But you rush right in and go ahead and make your attack roll.
19.
Oh my god, you slash into this thing. Whoom! Cutting through it and whatnot. Go ahead and roll for damage.
10 damage.
Okay. What should be a slash in and a lot of damage and spilling out blood and ooze, instead kind of cuts through this, and you notice something, and Huxley, you notice this too, because there's a strand running across the room to Rembrandt. There's this pseudopod over Huxley's arm. Your sword cut into this thing, and where it cuts, the ooze didn't come back together right away. It's almost like it's kind of like two rippling jellos next to each other, as if it's trying to reabsorb, but it hasn't for the moment.
I think that's it. That's all I got.
Nerida, you are up, sister. Huxley has
Okay.
water. Or liquid.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Did the rod dissolve at all?
The rod has partially gotten clean on the bottom, so you notice, similar to the Modron that's inside there, that it will dissolve, but not instantly.
Okay, so I'm gonna take it out and I'm gonna flick what couple of drops are on it. I'm gonna flick it towards the ooze.
Okay. You sprinkle a couple onto the ooze, and you think, because again, you're 15 feet away.
Smack the ooze with the rod.
What's that?
I'm gonna smack the ooze with the rod.
Okay, you come up, you smack the ooze with the rod. It's an improvised weapon. Go ahead and roll for an attack roll.
Alright. Okay. Where's my character sheet? This is gonna be... Is that considered strength or dexterity since it's...
Melee is
Is
strength.
it like a finesse-y? Okay.
You're smacking it with your rod, so yeah.
Okay.
This is definitely not a built for finesse weapon. Okay, so you smash into this ooze, and as you do, your rod goes right into it, and as you pull it back, you realize, just like Huxley, who's got this ooze over its arm, the ooze has attached itself to the rod, and as you pull it back, it's trying to climb up the rod towards you.
Pull my arm back really quickly.
Okay, you now have this strand. Wait, in other words, you're releasing the rod, or?
No, I'm pulling the rod back too.
Yeah. As you do, the ooze comes with it in this giant strand, pulling it away, further releasing the Modron up to his arm near the side of his body. So now the Modron has most of his arm free.
If I still have time with like a bonus action, can I stick the end of the rod that has the ooze attached to it, can I stick it back in the jar?
Okay, bonus actions for the game are only given to you if you have an ability that uses that bonus action. So bonus actions aren't like a second action or anything else. If you had something that specifically said, oh, as a bonus action you can do this, then you could do that. But otherwise, no. But as a free action, you can manipulate any one small item. So there you go. As a free action, just bloop, you shove it into the jar.
Okay.
Because you get one free action per turn. So absolutely.
Okay. I will,
Which jar did you shove it into?
one with the acid stuff.
Okay, the rod fit down in it, and as you do, you're seeing the acid bubble all around it, and the green ooze that's attached to it, that end, because that was the end on it, the ooze is literally rippling back out of it to get separate from this acid as quick as possible. Inside the jar, it's foaming and musting. The ooze that it got definitely did damage, and the ooze itself ripples as it tries to pull this tendril back to it. You realize that's definitely damaged it.
Alright, am I like within melee range of this thing still?
You are.
I had to walk forward to hit it. I'm gonna bonus action disengage and just take a step back.
Okay,
Cutting action.
perfect. You are there.
Alright, that's all.
Okay, the other NPCs in the room, Athos is still looking at his hand, kind of confused a little bit on exactly what he should do. He's going to move over towards Remy and speak to Remy, and Athos's drow, it's Athos' voice, but drow face, looks at Remy and says, he actually ducked underneath the green strand, and looks and he goes, I don't think the green is good.
No, neither do I. I think they best get away from it as soon as possible.
One of the other interesting things is that as he got near you, your dog immediately started growling very defensively. In fact, Yeah.
Calm down, Godfrey. Athos is a friend.
He sits on his haunches, but you can see the ripples of the wood pulled back over the metal teeth in the front as he's just kind of half snarling, but he doesn't, loudly get aggressive towards him. He just kind of sits there angrily looking at Athos.
Oh no.
Your dog doesn't seem to like me.
Oh no.
Constructs,
I know
what are you gonna do?
made. God damn it!
Top of the round. The
This
NPCs
thing's
have
gonna
now
kill us.
pretty much filled the room. You guys can move.
Yeah.
They don't want to get near the
I
green
wonder if we
things.
feed it the other prisoners, if it will get full and then go away.
Athos looks at you and says, so I should push these other people towards it?
No, I was purely thinking as a hypothetical. That would be a horrible thing to do. That would murder plenty of, well, they might not be innocent people, but they're certainly not guilty of a fate like that.
Oh, okay. And wait till you. What do you want to do for your turn, Remy?
Huxley doesn't still have his fist in the ooze, does he?
He does.
Rembrandt's gonna go over and and he's gonna use the help. How is that the help action to try and hopefully get Huxley's fist out of the ooze?
Huxley, basically he's loaning himself to your turn. So what are you doing on your turn? Because he's helping you.
When he starts trying to pull, Huxley will also start trying to pull away, to try and get out of the ooze. Then, saying that the water did not go according to plan.
What ends up happening is both Huxley, Remy starts pulling Huxley back, stretching the ooze out farther, releasing over half the Modron, part of the eyeball and everything else. But by now, the Modron, which had lost, is down to 2 fingers and whatnot, and the arms barely hanging on. Part of the eyeball, there's a rivet around it, and that rivets are just like kind of hanging out and whatnot. But now the Modron is trying to kick and, get away. His legs just touching the ground. Klaak has slashed into the back of it, splitting some of this, but the ooze is being stretched out all this distance towards you and whatnot because it's got more mass on Huxley's arm. It had gotten some back as Remy approached, but now it's getting larger again. Or, I'm sorry, the mass is getting stretched thinner, not larger. I said the wrong word. Okay, Huxley, is there anything special you want to do to try and remove yourself from this?
Huxley doesn't have anything special to try to remove himself from this.
Then make a con save for me.
All right.
Beauty, 1 point of damage as it continues to eat at your arm. Okay, so Huxley's got nothing special. You do have 1 free hand. Remy's pulling you back. You want to punch it with your other hand?
No, not at this time. Not with the construct starting to be able to free itself.
Okay.
I hope that it just gets itself wiggled free.
Okay. Then we will move on to Klaak.
Is my blade now covered in the ooze also?
Nope. You were able to pull your blade back, and your blade appears clean.
This is so dumb. I'm gonna go, instead of attacking it directly, I'm gonna go and swing at the ooze line between the javelin and Huxley's arm. So it's gonna try to cut through the ooze.
You move over towards the ooze line. 1 quick slash. You don't even have to roll for an attack. It's actually super simple. And it severs it. The ooze snapping back towards the Modron and covering it, and also snapping forward towards Huxley. So the ooze is actually grown around your arm, Huxley, as it slithers up and whatnot and goes over you all the more. Now you've got kind of this big ball on you. Klaak, is there anything else you want to do on your turn?
No.
Nerida.
Yeah. Out of character, I think I know what I've created. In character, I don't know shit. So, I am going to... No, that would be a terrible idea. Oh, that'd be hilarious, but terrible, awful, and very bad.
Use the magic. The ring counts as a magic item, so her fists, she only punches with the ring. Only that much.
That's a good point.
That'd be so subpar.
That would be hilariously bad because I do 0 damage strength-wise because my strength's an 8. Yeah, I am gonna, I'm just gonna pull the rod out and I guess kind of just like flick some of the acid back and like be like, okay, here, give it to Remy. And I'm just gonna, as like my action,
You run all the way over to me.
I have movement, I can do that. Yeah, I will Yeah, I'll do that. I'll go around Remy 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Perfect. And I'll just hand
I
you
feel
the
like
rock.
you're shifting the blame here. I'm not sure I want this anymore.
No, it's fine. And where the I would have probably gone. I was. Where did I start? Because I stepped a few feet away, not just.
You
5
started
feet. I
right here.
stepped, like,
Sorry, clicking on the wrong thing. That's where you started.
Okay, well, I was a little further out, so I would have been like here or here because I disengaged to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I used my movement to move away. So okay, so that's fine. So 5, 10, 15, 20. So that would have put me here, handed to Remy, and then 25, 30 to get back to here. And I'm just gonna use a dose of this stuff to splash it on the ooze.
Okay.
Yeah, I might as well, cause that's not good looking.
Improvised weapon, using your dexterity to throw.
All right, 1d20, plus 4. Really? No, I'm gonna add some puck face to that. I'm gonna add, what do I think this thing's AC is? I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna add, 9 plot points to that to make it a 15.
6 plus 9. Yep, 15 it is. Okay. So that'd be on 65.
And hope it hits, and hope it doesn't hit Huxley in the meanwhile.
You throw it. Shouldn't hit Huxley because you're nowhere near. Literally, you have a clear line of shot towards it. So you throw this right at it, splashing out, about half of the liquid towards it, and it goes all over it. I would like you to roll D12 damage, please.
Okay. 2.
As you do, this acid kind of bubbles and sizzles, and you can see it start to smoke, and the ooze continues that wavering jelly, trying to get away, and Monty the Modron, which had snapped back and gotten covered mostly, continues to work, pushing off, trying to pull the ooze away, and part of the ooze is trying to stay where it is, part of it's trying to go towards the far wall, the same wall that Remy's against. So you've got, as it wants to get as far away from you as possible, but Monty's pulling the other way, and Monty's legs are now able to again connect. Huxley, you also notice that the ooze on you is growing, it appears. Which is really kind of...
No! Oh, no! Oh!
Fun.
Oh, boy.
Remy, you're top of the round, sir. Your people are screaming. Some people are over there now. The individuals, because they're letting you deal with this. They're over there grabbing potions and whatnot, and some of the other beakers, and using that. A couple of them are throwing things, are trying to help somewhat by throwing some things in glass at Monty and stuff. Other ones are actually grabbing things and drinking, thinking that these are magical stuff.
Well, Remy's gonna be. All right, this is a thing. All right, what would an artificer do? What would an artificer do? And I would. He'll look around the room to see if there's anything that catches his eye or something he can discern about he notices about the ooze that might be indicative of a potential solution he's learned from being a bookworm.
Go ahead and make an what would that be? A survival? Arcana? I can justify it both ways.
Arcana is infinitely better for me.
I know it is. Go ahead and go Arcana. We'll play to your strength, same as Nerida. Like,
I'll use my devil's bargain regardless of what it is.
And Huxley, if you don't use it this round, that water bottle is going to just fall to the ground. I forgot to tell that. It was only one round, so it was supposed to be last round.
Okay. I mean, Huxley doesn't know how to waterbend or anything to know how to even begin to use it. So
it's a 23 on Arcana.
You believe that it's one of the magical oozes that you've read about that they are created by magic, and they only respond to magic. Anything else that touches it, and you're pretty sure this might be one of those gelatinous cubes that just you're watching and looking at everything that eats everything, and it will eat anything put in it. Now, of course, on the positive side, you're thinking, wow, anything magical that's in there? Gelatinous cubes usually can't dissolve, so hey, if you want to test if something's magical, throw it in there and it'll either eat it or you'll know it's magical. And you can get it when it's done. But it will continue to grow and it will eat everything in this room if this is what you think it is. You know they are susceptible to magic. Fire also does work if this is the type that you're thinking of. A very specific magical type.
Right. In that case, Rembrandt will yell, we need fire. Anything flammable. Use fire. And crossing his fingers, he's right.
Okay. Anything for your action phase? Because technically, neither was.
I thought looking around the, racking up the brain power was going to be the action.
Nah, I'll give you an action. That's thinking.
Well, in that case, he'll go over to Nerida because he's pretty sure Nerida has torches.
Okay.
Yeah. That'll and I guess he'll hold his action to light a torch if Nerida gives him one.
On her turn. There you go. I love it.
There we go.
All right. So Huxley, what do you want to do? You've got this blob that is on your arm, and right near your other arm is this floating orb of liquid in the air. What do you want to do?
Let's see. I've got floating liquid, and for what it's worth, as far as Huxley's concerned, he is more water-based than fire-based. Being able to, breathe underwater and create and destroy water and stuff like that. So he's gonna, I don't know. You might as well see if it works if you could just yeet the water far away since the gelatinous blob was eating it and getting bigger with it before. So he's just gonna try and swish his hand and have it swish out of existence like it was
Isn't your god the sun god? Why don't you use more fire?
Because healing waters.
Okay. Because you're not actually attempting to do something with it, I'm going to call that a free action, like flipping a lever. You just flip the water away in a random direction, and we'll put it over here towards where all the crowds of people are hiding. And the water goes over there, hits, and immediately explodes back into the foam, covering all those individuals and whatnot.
Oh, great.
So the NPCs in the room start beginning to scream and panic. And what would you like to do with the rest of your turn?
Huxley's mortified. You know what? He's in shock. The rest of his turn is gone.
They're not used to foam.
He's in shock. He can't.
No.
He didn't mean to hurt anyone.
You didn't hurt.
He's mortified.
Oh, the foam hasn't hurt anybody yet.
That doesn't mean he's not mortified.
It's like being on a Nickelodeon show. There's foam everywhere. So you have covered them in foam. They're screaming, wondering what evil magic has them that is foamy, because none of them bathe regularly. Come on. Well, maybe the fat banker. He probably bathes a lot. Hey, maybe he likes it.
We have a dance party.
Dance party? Did we get a dance party summon? And we got a minor wild magic surge from Shade. Once again, wild magic surge. All right, so dance party on 3. 1, 2, 3. We don't have the music going though. You know what we gotta do for this? We gotta get some
music going.
Oh, you got? Yeah, but you didn't share it because you weren't using my Sirenscape. Woo, woo! All right. Thank you very much for that, Rock Sauce. You the one, man. Thanks for bringing in that dance party. This dance was just for you. Oh, I love it. And Wild Magic Surge, we're going to get that added in there just so our PCs know, our players, that Wild Magic Surge will affect the very next thing you do, whether it's a potion for yourself, whether it's a spell you cast, or whether it's an ability that uses a spell slot. We'll be using some Wild Magic. All right. And that brings us to Huxley chose not to use an action. Klaak, what are you doing, sir?
I'm going to hit this thing with my sword and try to tear it apart.
Make another attack. Firebolt into a fireball. That would be kind of
that'd be so bad.
A 20.
Wow. Do some damage, brother.
10 damage to it.
Woo! Hacking through. He hacks right where those two quivering lips were kind of trying to reattach and ends up chunking off two pieces of this thing onto the ground, which float like jello on the ground, just kind of flopping. And they have straight angles like jello. Unlike the rest of the blob, which seems smooth and roundish and kind of amorphous, these kind of clearly have that flat jello-y side, as if you had just cloven an arm from something. So, clove, not cloven. Clove an arm from something.
Asunder.
It is asunder. You have. Beautiful job. The blob itself now leaves Monty and uses its move action, separating away and going over towards the table and moving. I don't have an icon to show you, but I will do it with clicks. So it moves this direction away and goes behind, as part of its movement, the altar or type table area, the apothecary area. The screaming continues for the other individuals. And the blob on your arm still appears active. Huxley.
All right. Sorry, I was just petting my new cat.
That's fine.
Hi.
Wait, did Klaak just go?
Klaak just did, and it's Nerida's turn.
Okay. You said Huxley, so I was confused.
Yeah.
I was describing that the blob was on his arm still. That part did not leave.
Okay. Yeah, I will. Remy's asking me for fire. Okay. Then I will hand him my tinderbox, and I will do one better, and I will pull out my flask of oil, and I'm gonna use my action to open it and hurl some of this oil at the. I'm gonna move to like here, and the thing is like over in this corner, right?
Yep.
So I'm gonna like splash some oil on it, because I've got a flask of oil and it's got like 2 pounds of oil in it, so I guess it'll probably splash out like half of the oil or something.
Sounds like a good plan to me.
That
so
improvised dex.
Yep.
All right. Really, with these rolls tonight, we're gonna add some more plot points to that, because I want to see this thing set on fire.
Okay.
We're gonna add 7 plot points to that to make it a 15 again.
Okay. And as you do, you hit. Whoops. Let me add that on there. And we added how many plot points? 7?
Yeah. I have a bunch. I might as well use some of them.
Exactly. That's what they're there for. So you hit this thing, the oil splashed all over it, and you cover it with the oil, and the ooze seems unaffected, as if it just doesn't care about oil in itself.
Yeah, well, I handed Remy the tinderbox, so we'll see what happens.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna use a little bit of my movement to, if I have to bonus action disengage, if this thing is that close to me, I will.
No, it's not.
Just, okay, cool. Then I'm gonna move back here, and I'm gonna just push some of the people aside and say, okay, step back, step back, step back, if you don't want to be set on fire!
You're moving through all this foam that's not only covering them and everything else, and you realize the floor is a little bit slippery, but no problem for you. You're used to slippery surfaces, being at sea all the time. So you move through all of them and watch some of these landlubbers falling over each other, getting upset by all this foam. And while the foam covers you with a slickness, it doesn't feel particularly dangerous. Just a little bit soapy. And that puts us at the top of the round as these people, some of them are trying to get back out the doorway. Some of the other ones have disappeared. Other ones have gone to another realm, turned into a gas and whatnot, and killed themselves in the room. So the room now not only has foam, it has gas in the air, it has weird things happening by the people that were drinking from the different stuff, people who have been doing all this. I'm going to roll for an intelligence check. The one person saw you throw oil. Yeah, no. Okay, so I had one individual that was going to throw some of their liquid from their flask, but they chose not to. That would require actually getting close to the creature, and nobody wants to really do that at this moment. Don't know why it just backed me out of that. Actually, I do know why. All right, that's fine. It'll come back here in a moment. And that brings us over from Nerida's turn back to the top of the round, which I believe is Remy, correct?
Yeah, so Remy has a lit torch, and I guess there's oil now on the monster, so he's
We've got a
going
tinderbox, so you can light you can like strike it.
Oh yeah, I held my action to light it, so it's already lit.
Yep.
Okay.
So I guess Remy's gonna use the torch as an improvised weapon.
Sure. I like it.
Yeah. So 1d20 plus strength, which is -1. 19. Natural 20.
Nice. Oh, very, very nice. Love it.
And I think so. I guess that's 2d4 minus 1, right? Or
No, you're actually going
Right.
to roll.
or
It's double, so it'd be 4d4.
well, no, it would be 2d4 because it would be a d4 for an improvised weapon, right?
Correct. But you are getting double because you're igniting her oil as well.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
It did something, hopefully
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, her oil just needed an ignition
6
source.
damage.
44 minus 1, 6 damage. Wow, sad that you got some low rolls there, but yeah, it starts to burn and sizzle, and as it does, this thing starts moving across the ground, but it can't get out of the oil and whatnot, and it fries the rest of it till it can't be in cohesion anymore, and literally just sizzles out across the ground. The only one left attacking is the one that's on Huxley, which has gotten bigger, as it eats some of Huxley's flesh and says, you taste nice.
Ah, no.
That will be Remy's turn.
All right,
Huxley.
so that makes it Huxley's turn. Let's see here. What can Huxley do to make it worse? He could try to punch it with his other hand. Seems like one thing he might be willing to try. He's gonna just... Man, I don't know. He sees the other one get lit on fire. He doesn't have any oil or anything, and he doesn't have any torches. So he doesn't have anything to actually light it on fire. So he's gonna shout out, "Hey, can I have some of that fire over here?"
Well, he already threw the fire away. He threw the torch.
That's not gonna stop Huxley from asking, just in case they have another torch. He'll also go over, because the thing's still burning, right?
It is.
So he's gonna try and, like, stick his arm into this burning to try and burn this gelatinous creature.
As you do, you start burning it, which is immediately effective, and it starts crawling up your arm faster towards your head to get away from the flames. But it is clearly effective and does damage. In fact, it's probably roughly half its size. Not that I'm suggesting sticking your head in the fire.
That's exactly what you're suggesting.
Is it still my turn?
Yeah, I just considered that your movement. You just said you moved over there. I mean, do you have an
then
action you
Huxley's
want to
gonna
do?
Try. Well, since it's crawling up his arm, Huxley's gonna try and use his other arm, right? So he has to climb onto his new hand and then pull it back away from his head and keep putting it in the fire.
All right, so as your action, you try to do this shove, kind of grabbing it, and you end up with this kind of string between your hands of this gooey gop, like when your mother's dealing with her children, and you put both hands into the fire, which immediately does damage to it. It will take damage, and I will put half of the damage is absorbed by it. Half of it would carry to you, but I believe you also have your own resistances. So what carries over to you would be a base 2, and then you can make whatever adjustment. I think you have something on your character sheet that adjusts that, but...
No, I do not.
Oh, okay. So 2 points carry over to you, and that ooze is gone as well. So you're left with now about half the NPCs in the room. The other half have disappeared. There's mist up the sky. And what you're noticing is they're passing around. One of the things that you guys catch is some of the beakers that they've used. Others are writhing on the ground dead. Some have actually sprouted tentacles from their hands. Others have been turned into piles of goo and whatnot. Individuals who've drunk from some of these. But what the NPCs have figured out is that some of them are starting to drink most of what's left of this bluish potion. They've gotten pretty much all of it gone. And you realize why. That mist that was going in the air, some of them look like people floating. And they figured out that this blue potion turns them into this mist. And some of them have gone through the holes in the wall. Some of them have gone back up the corridor. But they've become these cloud people, if you will.
Well, that's no good if it's all drunk. Thank goodness that's over. Klaak,
Is
what do we
Monty
do?
okay?
I'm sure Monty's fine. Aren't you, Monty? Say you're fine, Monty.
Huxley will run over to
Monty says up, tries to stand up, but one leg is pretty much eaten off, and now he's got one leg and the kind of half arm with 2 fingers on it. And Monty, as Huxley stands him up, starts hopping on one leg and says, "This monodrone is fine." You know, got 2 fingers.
Huxley wants to pray over poor Monty and try and cure his wounds, even though he's just a little construct.
Oh my.
Hug Monty, and even if Monty can't have any hit points back or anything, he's gonna pray over him. And let's see here.
Technically, he is a sentient creature, and technically, he can be healed. I like the idea of him just being a construct, but we're going to go with the official creature standing, and you cast heal on him. We'll see.
Seconds. Plus my spellcasting modifier.
Oh, that's not good.
What?
Wild magic.
Oh, yeah!
That'd be +6, but I also have...
Hey, maybe we'll all get healed.
Hey, maybe.
Could
That'd be nice.
Could be.
Klaak, any thoughts on how we can get through that wall?
Roll a...
We'll just smash it down.
After you roll for the hit points heal, you give me
You
a
think you could do
D100. I have a
Sure,
wild
my
magic
best.
surge in front of me. I'm just going to use this table that I've already got open.
Monty gets 10 health points back. And then
Wow.
you need to roll a D100.
Yep. I already opened up a table, so... 82, page 2. You're hugging Monty, and as you do, his leg pulls back over to him, locks into place. His arms come into place, and all of a sudden Monty's actually looking really good. He go boop, 2 finger, 3 finger, 4 fingers, and he's like, Monty's ready to roll again. And as you do, he has that new monodrone smell. It's such a great smell. It's like he's clean and he's polished and he's looking really good. And that open panel at the back kind of shifts a little bit, and you hear a bring, bring, as if something else in there is coming back together. And you guys can all smell it, that new monodrone smell, freshly off the factory floor, freshly made and created. And something else smells
Huxley,
it too.
No, you should have consulted me before. Oh, dear.
Santa's blessing upon you, little one.
And as you do, out from behind the altar crawls this figure. It looks like an armadillo, and it's kind of reddish, and it's got these 2 long tentacles out front, and it appears to be sniffing the air with them, and it rushes towards Monty. It's got a tail behind
Monty
it.
up.
Monty's kind of big. Monty's not small, but you're strong. You lift Monty up, and you're like, and as you do, what are you wearing again?
I believe he's just wearing leather armor.
Okay. As you do, this thing walks towards you and whatnot, and the people are all moving out of its path. They don't know what the heck this thing is. And it reaches up to you with these 2 feelers that are in the air, patting at you and trying to reach Monty's feet. And it just catches one of Monty's feet. And as it does, Monty's foot decays instantly, shrapping away and disappears. And whatever it touches,
Up onto my shoulders.
whatever it touches turns to rust. And you pop Monty onto your shoulders. You have summoned a rust monster.
Go away. Shoo shoo.
It liked the smell of healing too.
Shoo shoo.
You kick it away. It doesn't seem to affect you per se. It literally seems to be looking for metal. You hold the metal up so
Godfrey,
high.
help
And
Godfrey.
as it does, it kind of starts sniffing around
Godfrey's a
and
lot of wood.
starts
Oh,
walking
okay.
over towards Godfrey and Athos.
Athos,
Godfrey,
don't go
attack.
near that.
You tell Godfrey to attack it?
Yeah, sure.
Godfrey leaps into battle going at this thing. If you want to grab me a rust monster token, I'd appreciate it, buddy. You've already grabbed one. I'm going to give you some points for doing both of those.
Okay, let's see if we have a rust monster token. We do.
I'd say it's pretty staple. It's part of the basic stuff. Wow, I was like so happy to be out of combat. But the problem is, yeah, we have this rust monster who's coming at it. Godfrey goes in for the kill. Athos, not knowing any better, he's going to move in to attack it as well. And what do the rest of you want to do? Remy, I'm going to let you go first. We're going to stick with this initiative.
Athos to stay away from the creature.
Athos is pretty mindful and he respects all of you, so Athos will use the rest of his movement to go away.
I'll add like 3 plot points to Godfrey's attack.
Okay. I did not see his attack, so
It makes it a 13.
where?
I don't know what its AC is.
Oh, I see it there. Yeah, never mind. I had it on my screen now. All right, force empowered rend. Ooh, and you made it a 13. You said?
Yes.
Okay. Roll for damage.
7 damage.
7 damage it is, and the rust monster recoils back as Godfrey not only bites into this thing, but starts shaking and rips a chunk off of this rust monster that reels back and then starts slapping Monty with these feelers in the air. What is Monty's AC? Never mind, it's a 1. So,
okay.
It literally... sorry. I should have let you answer first, but it was a 1. And I'm like, Monty literally is so quick on this thing, moves away, part of it still in his mouth, as this creature seems now focused on Monty, who's attacking it, or Godfrey, who is attacking it, and continues at Godfrey. But the rest of you are going to get your turns. Remy, are you all done, or you want to do anything else on your turn?
Well, Remy has his main action, so I suppose he'll throw his javelin at it as well. If it's still intact. Did it not? Did it like completely dissolve when it was thrown in and pulled back, or was it just damaged?
No, it did not. It was just damaged a little bit, so it's fine.
All right. So do that as well.
Okay.
Just my bonus action to send Godfrey after someone. 12.
12, you hit. This thing is not very well defended from the back.
7 piercing damage.
Oh, you skewer right into this thing. And is this the returning one that's just you're popping it back into your
Yes.
hand? Okay.
Yep.
And then, should I assume you're handing it off to Huxley? Your turn?
Yes.
Okay, Hux.
All right, Huxley is gonna see Rembrandt doing all that, go over to him and be like, "I think you said you wanted this," and he's gonna hold out the fire feather.
Oh, thank you. We'll take the feather.
You
like, put
asked
it in
for
his
it,
pack.
didn't you?
Oh yes, this is quite lovely. I have no idea what it'll do.
You feel
I
it
wonder if I feed
burning
it to
in your
Godfrey,
hand.
What will happen?
Oh no.
Do it.
Do it. That could be interesting. I think I'll feed it
Huxley
to
still
Godfrey.
hasn't given you the amber thing yet. The amber
Amulet?
amulet. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that to be the big cliffhanger bomb drop.
Okay, so Huxley has chosen to hand you the feather and whatnot, and you receive that. Huxley, are you doing anything else for main action?
No, that's it.
handy.
That's it.
Okay.
Yep, he's got Monty on his shoulders. He's feeling pretty safe.
Klaak, you see this thing there, and it's obviously stabbable. You've seen a spear go into it. You've seen a dog creature bite it.
Well, we never get any peace around here.
Not with Shade's wild magic going off all the time. And that was just a standard table. I mean, that was like the old 3.5 T100 table.
I'll go into a rage.
Okay. Finally, we're going to see some rage from the Goblin Barbarian. Woo!
And I will
Loving it.
recklessly attack this thing.
Please let there be a yell involved. Yeah, there we go.
And I'll swing at it with advantage. And I'll get a 23.
23, man, dude, do some damage.
I hit it for 10, and then I want to hit it with Ancestral Guardians. So these spectral goblins all surround me, and then all get on top of this rust monster.
Oh, my.
It has disadvantage on attacking anybody but me. And if it does hit someone else, it has advantage against me because I'm recklessly attacking. But if it does try to attack somebody else, anybody else, they have protection against, resistance to the damage that he would do.
Your ancestral guardians, and you guys see all this. The people who have been screaming now literally panic and start grabbing that thing, and more of them want to become this, anything to get out of the room and become this gaseous form to get away. You hack into it. These ancestral goblins jump on top of it, and as they do, you cleaving down, they not only pin it to the ground, they smush it to the ground and rip it to shreds. It's dead. The rust monster ripped apart. Monty holding on to Huxley's head by one hand and one leg and missing one foot, which does not exist anymore. And the rust monster is taken out of the game. Well done. Oof. Klaak, Barbarian. Well done. Well done, adventurers. Well done.
Now about this wall, and I'll run over to the wall and just hit the wall as hard as I can with the sword again.
You go over to the spot where Nerida had previously splashed acid, which had eaten into the surface. Go ahead and make a straight roll on it.
Because I'm raging, can I have advantage?
You most certainly may.
On
And again, we're not, for viewers, you're not rolling to see if they hit the wall. The person's hitting the wall either way. You're rolling to see if it's an effective damaging attack. So don't always think that a miss means you didn't hit. A miss just means you didn't physically inflict some damage. So go ahead, brother. What was it?
I'll make my attack.
I like
Nice.
the second roll.
I do too. This massive sword. He steps through the burn, decaying thing, smashes at it. Roll for damage on me.
It's an 8.
Bam! And where Nerida had previously splashed the acid, a giant chunk comes out through these holes and whatnot, which acts almost like underground drilling. The holes connect, shatter, and a large part of the wall comes out. The wall appears to have been about a foot thick, and you can just see from the breaking of the holes and whatnot that if you had some way to get through the rest of this, you could have either gone through the holes, but you're making your own now. And it's going to require a lot more, maybe a pickaxe or something else, because, you don't have a way through yet, but you've gotten out a good sized chunk of the wall, just you don't have an opening to the other side other than these little holes yet. Give him a hammer. Give that man a hammer. All right, what do you want to do?
I guess I'll continue hitting it with my great sword.
So, Klaak the Barbarian continues to ring out, chopping it against this wall, dulling his blade, but going at it. His rage overcoming any sense of keeping his weapon whole. He just starts bashing against it. Remy, you hear this ringing out. Godfrey, continues. You now notice that Godfrey, who had spit out or actually has not spit out the rust thing, goes over towards Athos and spits the chunk of the rust monster at Athos. And it hits Athos and falls to the ground. And Athos is like, "Oh, thank you," he says. And Godfrey just growls at him. Nerida, you amidst all these people have now seen multiple of the people disappearing, drinking this blue potion and whatnot, which is now pretty much almost gone. Some of the other ones have died. Some of the bottles have shattered on the ground. There's, other than some small beakers and flasks, they pretty much grabbed all the liquids off the apothecary table. Remy, you've seen all this happen. What do you guys want to do? Huxley, Remy, Nerida? We know what Klaak is doing.
Huxley, can I get that amulet back?
The amulets?
Yes, the amulet that...
You said that it might be of my gods, though.
No,
I think it's probably best that I keep it if it's of Lysander.
Well, no, it might not be of Lythander. I just thought Lythander might have screwed with it a bit. Anyway, regardless, I can cast an incantation that will let us know whether it's from Lythander or not.
Oh, well, in that case, may I have it back if it is from Lysander, though?
Sure, if you can use it.
Okay. He'll hold out the amulet to Rembrandt.
Rembrandt will take it and sort of maybe he was half interrupted with or something like that. But it does whatever necessary if there is any semblance of the identify spell still remaining.
Okay. Your spell goes off without a hitch. No problem whatsoever. You have the amulet in your hand, and you know instinctively this amulet is a holy symbol. It's ancient, hundreds of years old. It's not a symbol of Lathander at all. It's one of the primordials that are rumored to have formed all of existence at the start of time, some believe. This amulet gives the wearer resistance to all fire-based damage and gives you the ability to cast light 3 times a day.
Interesting. Remy sort of holds it in his hands and says, "No, this isn't like that. It feels almost older, if that makes older than ancient.
Older than ancient, isn't ancient?
The oldest
old?
kind of old. It has something to relate related to a sort of primordial source. It seems to be linked to, well, sort of a fiery essence, but not sort of burning fire, more like light-giving fire. And I don't... It's interesting. I don't have as much use to it, but it is good for keeping flames away and lighting your way. If anyone... Nerida, you tend to stumble in the dark quite a bit.
This is true.
And, he sort of offers the amulet to Nerida. Maybe you'll have some use of this. It might take a moment for you to get accustomed to it, but...
Sure, I'll trade you, not literally, but here, there's, I have this ring. I think it is magical if you could also see what it does. Not the ring you fixed, a different ring. This copper ring, here.
You take the amulet from him, and the minute you do, it's like holding on to 2 poles of reality. You grab the amulet in one hand, not even thinking about it, and right near your chest, where you have the stone tucked away that he's fixed, because that's where it still is, right? The stone from your ring?
If it's been fixed and fixed on my ring, then I have it on my hand again.
Oh, okay. So then it's a pole between your 2 hands, the amulet in one hand and in the other, and it is this burning electrical sensation, like the 2 were polar opposites. You are holding on to both a hot wire and a ground, and you are in between. And you start becoming, we're going to call it electrical damage, but it's something else, as you are holding on to 2 opposite extremes. And you are the one holding them both.
Let go.
Because you let go so quickly, wisely, we're going to half the damage. But I'd like you to make a con save to see if we can get rid of all damage from it. Because you were so...
Yeah, I'm going to let go and be like, I don't... No, that's
If you didn't
bad.
want it, you could have just said so.
No, it shocked me, sort of.
Shot you.
Shocked.
It's a 6. Do you want to go with that?
It's
Yeah.
Okay.
It's practically inert, and Remy picks it up and...
Half damage is only 3 points, and your fingers are numbed on both hands. Because, again, both were the connection. And you're just like, oh, wow. And you realize...
That has something to do with some sort of weird fire, and I'm very watery, and maybe we just are not... I mean, I can speak the primordial language, but maybe it doesn't like me.
Potentially. Klaak, how are you with fire? And would you like to be better with fire?
Doesn't hurt me as much as others. I'm okay with it already. And I can see in the dark. I don't know. It might be better for someone else.
I suppose Huxley it is, then. Huxley, it's not from Lathander, but it's sort of his style. And he tosses the amulet.
Huxley will catch it.
And Nerida, in the moment that you were holding it, because you speak primordial, you heard a clashing of voices. Literally like 2 gigantic booming voices screaming at one another until you let go. And it was like back to normal. And again, you're just left with this sort of numbed sensation for a moment. you've never experienced anything like it before. Almost like the power of storms raging, which you've ridden through some really horrific storms in your time. Huxley, you grab hold of the amulet and whatnot, you get none of those sensations whatsoever. You have nothing to oppose it and whatnot, to my knowledge, on you. So something was up with that. With that, what do you want to do about... What's your next steps? Klaak is over there bashing against the wall. Klaak, you've managed to knock out more numerous small stones. It's going to take...
I imagine when they talked to me about it, I was sitting down again and my rage has faded. And I was kind of explaining, because they wanted to know about me. So I like to talk about me a lot, so...
I imagine you say your first response and he just keeps going, and it's like, oh, okay, here you go, Huxley.
Are you going to talk about yourself in song?
Yeah. I once was a mighty goblin.
Godfrey, see what you can do about getting through that wall. Dig, boy.
Now that...
Before Godfrey does dig, I'm going to splash the rest of the acid on the hole that's starting to form to see if we can make it bigger.
Aren't these things supposed to be dummy-proof? Like, isn't that how artificers build things? So maybe if we put all of the potions back, the vials, they'll refill themselves for the next adventurers.
In the meantime...
Did Huxley just have a good idea?
Oh.
I think a great idea.
I just try to think about how somebody might react if I came in and did something. And go from there.
Now, come here a moment.
Okay.
Do you recall me getting hit on the head at any point today?
We can make that happen.
No.
All the better.
I'm assuming I must be becoming unhinged, and this is all just a horrible hallucination.
No, I think the whole idea of potions magically refilling themselves is quite, how to say, implausible?
Well, implausible. It's only implausible until it's done, my dear. And he starts scooping up whatever vials aren't broken on the ground and starts placing them back.
Moving around the people that are left in the room and whatnot, you find about 3 or 4 that are not broken. And those you're able to pick up. One or two are the little beakers and flasks, and you put those onto some of the stands and whatnot into place. In the meantime, Nerida, who splashed the acid over it, it's had its effect. Godfrey, using his claws and his jaws, has widened it out to where he is like almost able to fit his head and whatnot through it. And he's like scrabbling at it, and he's going at this thing, ripping at what Klaak has begun, while Klaak continues to sing to everybody and talk to them about his ancestors and his might and his power and what he carries with him for his kingship. Huxley, on the other hand, continues to advise you, giving great advice on what you should be doing, and the artificer listens to the wisdom of Huxley. Huxley the wise, Huxley the powerful, Huxley who has all the answers. Go ahead.
While Klaak is actually telling everybody a little about himself, I'm actually listening, so I'm not like ignoring him completely. So if there's any specific details, you can post them or DM them to me. That might be interesting.
Okay.
Rembrandt will probably say, as he's sort of looking, supervising. So, Klaak, where do gnomes come from?
Evil creatures. I think mud hovels mostly, and they also are like... Have you ever
seen... Are you their king as well, or...
I would banish them as soon as I have my fief.
Where would you banish them to?
Back to the trees. I think they go from there. They're like creatures...
I thought elves like trees. No, gnomes like trees.
I've never met an elf that liked a tree.
Or is that dwarves?
I don't think I've ever met an elf.
We did. We met the one. He tried to capture me.
Oh, right.
They don't like trees that much.
No, I mean other elves. Elves that don't live underground.
There's other places but underground?
Yes. Well, don't you remember being up?
It hasn't seemed
the
to
tavern.
be that important. The humans had all the
Klaak, there's whole societies above ground. What do you mean?
I haven't seen much up here that seems to bear any fruit.
What about the actual fruit that's grown above ground?
You've never tasted of fruit, only of vegetables.
Yes,
Have you
roots.
even, do you even know what a fruit is, Klaak?
Like the other thing behind the root, like when you pull the root through the ground.
Oh, those are leaves.
Yeah. Wait. You mean you wait? So you pull? So you're like taking carrots from underground rather than above ground.
That's right.
Yeah, no, those
So you know
are
those
leaves.
big, thick roots that the trees. You know what a tree is, right, Klaak?
Am I the only one struggling? to
Sometimes
keep
they
up
have
with this conversation?
edible orbs.
Athos says, I am.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever pulled a tree from under the ground.
Note to self, we'll have to make Klaak try a fruit at some point. Okay. Klaak, did you know that the people who first conquered the gnomes, according to legend, live above the ground?
That is good.
Just curious.
In the meantime, right around then, you hear a crash as finally the workings of the dog have gotten enough through the wall that he's able to scrabble through. And with a little bit of wiggling, some of the rest of you could get through after him if you wanted.
I'm getting a little worried that Rembrandt is becoming more and more slave drivery as this campaign goes on. I only just now had this realization, but I'm always like, the monodrone will be fine. Godfrey, go do this thing. Oh, Athos, you're fine.
It'll be funny to see how that develops or doesn't. We'll see what happens.
The hole is not technically big enough for the round monodrone to fit through. As I said, Godfrey can squeeze through, you guys can squeeze through, but the monodrone's kind of big and round. There's no squeezing.
Well, I suppose we keep digging so the monodrone can fit through.
You guys want to just keep on at it? How do you want to assist in the digging? All your acid's gone. And if the potion idea of them refilling on its own, it didn't happen instantly, so it might be something that takes time.
That was my assumption, is that it would take time. Well, how about I don't know. How about you? Most of you folk rest, and I'll see about helping Godfrey maybe jam some specific, weaker points with my javelin, and see what happens. Klaak, you look like you could take a breather.
Yeah, this thing's been beating me so well. I thought I could get right through it after first we just rocked all the knocks out.
Well, I think it was made by a goblin, if that makes you feel any better.
Makes sense. It keeps together.
Please sit and rest. Tell me more about the ancient goblins.
I'd like all of you to make an athletics roll for me, please. We're doing a group check to bring our each abilities to the fore.
Nice. That's about on brand for Rembrandt. A 4.
Yeah, mine is right for Nerida.
5, 4, 9, 14.
Klaak, I'm not very enthused by you, my guy.
You guys end up taking quite a while to finally get through this. It takes a lot, and while people may knock on poor Huxley, I'll tell you, when Huxley knocks on a wall, it kind of works. He's there, getting in and encouraging all of you. Well, Godfrey already got through, but yeah, Godfrey working on the other side. Yeah, roll for Godfrey. I love that idea. Godfrey working at the other side, continues ripping at this in between. All of your work together, you guys widen the hole enough to get the monodrone through, and by now all the other people are wanting to follow you in. You guys come out on this other side of the wall, which appears to be a room, and you've stumbled into what appears to be a hallway. At first you thought it was a room because it's that big. The ceiling here goes up about 15 feet. The hallway goes across 20, making it seem like a large room. What are we using for light source?
There might still be the torch burning, but also I think Nerida still has a dagger that glows 5 feet, and the rest of us have dark vision.
Okay. So between Nerida's dagger getting around her, the dark vision, and you grab the torch, which goes out quite a bit farther, you can see what at first was a room until you realize it goes off in both directions, and a quick search reveals a doorway at one end and what appears to be a collapsed passage. The hallway intersects like a T, and something has collapsed a large part of it. You realize that this corner had some beautiful chairs in it. Now, Nerida had asked Rembrandt earlier to look at a ring for her. Remy, looking at the ring and whatnot, you notice something immediately. You don't have to roll for this, because the chairs here look incredibly familiar to you. They look like the chair that you found in the cave that had a rope attached to it. Except the weave now you're realizing on the chairs, that metal banding, is the same as the weave that is on this ring. They've been made by the same manufacturer.
Made another thing made by possibly Dorcil.
Yes,
Interesting.
that's why I saw that it had a similar wove to the other chair that we saw earlier, the one you guys put me in while I was unconscious, you know. But yeah, so I wanted you to identify it.
Remy puts it around his wrist to see if it does anything. Trial by error first.
The ring?
Yes.
Around your
I
wrist?
was thinking of like a large. I was thinking of a large ring.
No, it's a
like
ring that
actual
was...
No,
finger
it's a
ring.
small copper ring.
Yep.
Remy puts it on.
Small copper weave. As you do, you put this ring on, and you know it's magic instantly, because the ring, which was small, stretches out for your finger. And as it does, all the little bands start weaving and moving and interlocking, like sliding back and forth, until they look almost solid on your finger. And it begins to glow warmly. As you do so, are you wearing any... Well, Godfrey, who's standing next to you, starts to hum and resonate in a sound that everybody can hear. All the little metal components on you start to chime, almost like a chorus was going off. Every single bit of metal with its own resonance, its own distinct sound. And this is all going on around you as you're wearing it.
Remy will like move his hand around to see if that like changes anything.
As it does, the sound changes. Like when you get nearer to different metals, the pitch increases. The metal becomes louder. Godfrey's ears actually flop down. He doesn't like the fact that he's making this sound. You realize... Go ahead.
Remy will bring his hand back down, hopefully like lowering the like resonance, and then take it off if he can.
You slip the ring off. It comes off no problem whatsoever. It's not locked to you. And as it does, it restores itself back to just being these little interwoven copper wires and whatnot. And all the sound stops.
I think this could prove useful. But we'll have to be careful with it, especially with Godfrey and the other constructs. I imagine Athos probably didn't like it either.
Exploring the room further, you find that down the hallway to the left, it appears like whatever collapsed the hallway intersection to the right has created a similar collapsed area here with large rocks. Whether it was on purpose, by design, would require an investigation. It takes you guys a little while. While you're looking at it, a number of the NPCs that have followed you into the room have increased in number. It turns out that those individuals that had become mist, it only lasted so long before they became human again. So now you're filled with a room again of at least 20 people or so, all in here with you, looking for their own way out. Again, the passageway to the right appears blocked. This passageway appears blocked. And as you're investigating, looking at light, it looks like numerous explosions here. There's the leftover burn marks on the walls and whatnot, have purposely collapsed this room.
Remy's going to go over to Klaak and sort of nudge him slightly and whisper, Klaak, I know these aren't necessarily your kind of people, but we are underground. There's a significantly large group of people without any sort of direction or cohesion, and you are sort of the king and all. Maybe this could be good practice for you, leading large groups of individuals and, commanding them.
This is true. How many manacles do we have? Do we have any kind of rope we could tie them up with?
How about words first, and maybe do you always entrap people when you're trying to?
How else do you get their loyalty?
Well, all of us are loyal to you, and you haven't tied any of us up.
Speak for yourself.
Well, I suppose we've tied up Huxley quite a bit, haven't we?
And look how good he does now.
But I mean, I like to imagine I've done quite well, and I haven't been tied up yet.
Yeah, but you had nothing before. I guess they have nothing too, so maybe that will be good.
Just, be yourself, but a better version.
What
Huxley
does it
has
mean?
Meanwhile, gone over to check on some of these people, ask them if they're feeling okay, you know, just doing general checkovers and being willing to share life stories, you know. Feelings are important, especially right now when you're in the middle of a dungeon.
See, look at Huxley go. He's connecting with people. But
As Huxley starts to connect with all of them, he finds out that they are anxious for the way out. They're like, well, you let us in here. They're clearly believing that you should have shown them the way out. They want to know why there's all this magic. If you knew this was the way out and let us here, and you can hear the accusation in their voice. You let us in here. Why are we suddenly seeing things attacking us? Why didn't you tell us in advance?
I feel that you all have misunderstood the situation. I'm not sure where you heard that we brought you here, but we came in of our own accord, and I think you're feeling very attacked right now, and that's not the kind of air we need to be able to get through this. This is very clearly a strange thing created by a very strange person, and we all need to work together if we're going to get through this. Can you guys meet us in the middle and work with us?
Make a persuasion roll.
Let's see. I'll add 12 plot points to that.
I was so ready to say, all right, Huxley fan, your turn, Klaak.
Ah! All right, so here's a fair depiction of the room. I think you can see it. I don't know. I'm trying something new. I'm going back to my old school days. I used to do whiteboards. So you can see that what you have right here is a room with the collapsed rubble on the one way, and you have the explosive remains on the other way, and the apothecary room that you came through to get here. So you have a visualization at least. It's faster than me working on Roll20. Grabbing all those paintbrushes. All right. They begrudgingly go along with Huxley. Huxley seems to have a way of talking to people that brings them along even if they don't want to. So
Huxley's going to start forming small circles amongst the people so that they can all talk and share their feelings and start realizing that, you know, we're a band here together, and we all need time to talk and digest really what's happening.
I'm not sure that's going to go over well.
Remy will just keep trying to hype
But you
Klaak
can
up
try.
into being a king.
I think Klaak will join one of the circles and say, "Oh, Obligat will enslave you shortly. You will be brought before the master of chain.
I thought he was the breaker of chains.
You first have to enslave before you break a chain. How do you?"
I'm gonna go into a group of these people that Huxley has tried to section off. Specifically a group that looks like it's made of like maybe some either, I don't know if there's any like sailor types, if there's any kind of like burly guys or anything, but I'm gonna go and be like, all right, listen up, y'all shark baits.
One of them actually has a sailing background, and you realize that he is actually from the coast. He is one of the former Lazar pirates, serving under a different captain. You don't know this individual at all, but as soon as you start talking about shark bait, he responds with some of the lingo and language and character and customs that you are used to. He recognizes what he sees as a fellow sailor, a fellow pirate from the Lazar provinces.
You're promoted. You are now an officer of this crew. Do you understand?
He says, we don't have a ship, and you're not a captain.
We did, and we will. Don't worry about that, but we're all trapped here. Do you want a ship in here blowing and destroying and making more space to take up? No? No, didn't think so. So, you are promoted to officer. Doesn't matter if we have a ship or not. You will take care of this group of people, and you'll make sure that they don't step out of line, because if they step out of the line,
having picked a big and burly one, she picked the one that obviously likes to lead by muscle, and the idea of being an officer that can not only not force people around as an enlisted person, but can boss them around too is just very appealing. She's hit all the marks on this guy, and he just absolutely goes with it.
This is the symbol of your officership. If you kill anybody without my say-so, I will slit your throat, and I'm going to hand him one of my many daggers. Just one of the shivs.
Okay.
So he has like a weapon unlike the rest of these nobodies. And I'm gonna tell him, so we are trying to figure out a way to get through here. There's collapse here, there's collapse there. Find out if any of these people know anything about explosives. If any of them have any, they probably don't have any simple tools, but find out who might know anything about the explosives, who might know anything about somebody named Dorceal. Maybe also, Remy, what was the other name? The door name? The
Celador.
cellar door. If any of them have ever heard of that.
They
And
start
we'll see what information we can gather.
as you start pulling the individuals. This man starts barking at them. Which area are you trying to? You said help get through. Which one are you focused on? Both of them, or splitting your group, or what? What are you?
I'm having him try to focus on finding anybody within these civilians that might know anything at all about explosives or chemical stuff, especially if any of them seem to know more what they were doing in the previous room, to see if they can judge how this one exploded section was exploded and if it was recently done.
Okay. I'd like you all to make a group investigation roll. You're going to represent the people here and see what they can come up with. Klaak. Super
We're
helpful.
all very focused about talking about our feelings over here.
Hey, Kitty and Klaak pulling it up.
That's it. You guys, hey, technically by the rules, any group check only requires half to win. It's one of the neat ways it's actually half and up, and half were successful. Between all the people and your advice as well, bringing in your backgrounds and whatnot, Remy is actually part of the key, as some of the individuals talk about the burn marks and the other things, and Remy understands this was not a explosion done by anything else. In fact, there's somebody, the gentleman that served previously on the ship was part of the, oh God, what did they call them? It wasn't cannoneers. Anyways, the individuals that did the cannons on ships, they have a special name.
Okay.
What is it? Wait, you know what it is?
Master at Arms, I think.
No.
Cannon
No.
monkeys.
Yeah, there you go.
Cannon monkeys.
That'll work. Good enough. So he was one of, we're going to use that term now, even if it's not a regular one. Cannon monkeys. He was a cannon monkey. And they recognize that these explosions aren't from that. Remy's actually puts it together and realizes it's magical in nature. A series of blasts seem to have exploded something on this end, and you're able to put together that the other collapse at the far right, to, for lack of a better term, east of the message map, is a secondary minor. There's no burn marks, anything else. It's like something just went wrong and the passageway there collapsed, probably as a result of this end of the passage. But your investigation reveals something else. As you get higher into the rubble, you can almost see over the top of it. Nerida's description of promoting this one to officer and telling him you want a way through, he starts making the various individuals, especially the stronger ones, and he considers those talking about their feelings pretty weak. Anybody who's not talking about their feelings is strong. He puts them into a work group, being a taskmaster, forcing them, since Remy talked about being a slave master earlier, he's like forcing them, at the danger of his shiv, to get to work pulling rocks down, and slowly they start pulling all this out. You get to the point that you can just see over the top, and you can see something greenish floating around, but you can't make out what it is because this, again, the ceiling's 15 foot high, whatever it is moving down below, you can't quite make out, but there's something that is putting off a green light in the next room, moving around and about, floating back and forth. How do you want to perceive or proceed? Not perceive.
Yo, officer, what is your name?
He says, I am Stiffens.
Stiffens. Good work, Stiffens.
He thanks you and addresses you as captain, just assuming that only a captain can promote, so that must be what you are.
Good man.
We now have a king, we have a captain, and we have Stiffens, the unnamed, or the named officer of an unknown rank. Who clearly is not that bright because he's just like, oh yeah, call me an officer. That works. What do you guys want to do?
You just gotta convince them that they know what they're doing, and then they'll do most of the rest of the work, and then when they fail, you shiv them.
Stiffens isn't long for this world.
Oh gosh.
As long as he's got the spirit, and as long as he does what he's told, he will survive until something else kills him, or he betrays me, in which case I will kill him.
I love it. What do you guys want to do about the next room?
I'd hope move rocks. Just make ourselves a really clear path.
Once he gathers in the weak-minded individuals, they show what.
We'll use the weak-minded individuals to form a line, so that way we can move rocks further away from the main rockage. That way we're not just like kind of creating a new wall.
Good job, Huxley.
We're creating a task force over here. Feelings and love.
Good job.
Between the three separate groups now working in perfect harmony, you guys have gotten, instead of trying to remove the whole wall, you've gotten an area through the top that you can climb through. And Stiffens announces this to his captain as they tell him what's going on. And the next thing you know, he's like, so who's going through first? And he's going to grab one of the small ones, who happened to be a gnome that overheard Klaak insulting all gnomes everywhere. And so Stiffens is willing to shove that gnome through first.
Whoa. There will be no shoving of anyone through. And Huxley will stand in front of Stiffens. Let's all just take a breath.
And Stiffens yells at you, "You're not in charge here. I'm in charge. I'm an officer."
Stand down.
He's like, "Who are you?" And he goes to shove you.
They are officers.
Ooh.
Oh.
I kick him in the back.
Do I get to make an opposed strength roll to that?
You absolutely do. I'm hoping that this goes very badly for him.
Darn.
I didn't even see what it
I'm
was.
kicking Stibbins in the back.
It's an 8.
He got a
Klaak
2,
should
and
all
he's
be
kicked in the
anyway.
back as she goes rolling up. And the next thing, Stiffens goes rolling down the rock pile because he was near the top, getting ready to shove the gnome through.
Oh, I didn't know he was at the top of the pile.
He was getting ready to shove a gnome through the hole at the top.
Okay.
So you ran up there and kicked him in the back, and she shoved him.
Did Huxley try to use his reaction to grab the poor man?
Hey, you already got your hands on him, shoving him. If she kicks him in the back, sure, why not? You have advantage only because your hands are on him, shoving him back.
All right. What roll do I need to make?
Athletics. Just straight athletics to try and... I want you to be able to use your whole body to try and hang on to him.
Oh my gosh.
But he's just out of the way too quick. Twisted ankle, falls down, boom, 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 down this 15 feet. Well, actually, it's farther than that because it's diagonal. So about 20 feet of rock hitting them all as he goes tumbling down to the ground. And if you hear a few choice curses towards him and people who appreciate that because they didn't like his style of leadership at the end of his shift.
Lesson to you all. These are my allies. You don't insult them. You don't insult me. Or you end up like him, Stevens. You keep doing as you're doing. You're demoted if you do.
And Athos...
Now, you're okay.
Athos, who doesn't even
Rank
understand,
not so much.
says, "What rank officer am I?" So clearly Athos understands ranks, and he says, "Now that I'm promoted," as if like this just happened out of the blue, which it did, but I don't think was the intent.
Fine. If the gnome is too scared, I will go. And can I use my foresight and then go into the tunnel? Like, because I'm little?
Sure. Foresight is
Well, I'm
actually
small.
an ability about rolls. Oh, are you using something different than the foresight on the screen?
I'm thinking I'm using foresight on the screen, but the idea was that I use my foresight to like investigate or perceive inside the thing, because you said there was something glowing behind there, right?
It is. That's really not the way foresight is designed to work.
Okay.
It's about you catch like a glimpse to reroll an attack roll, but
Oh, okay. I can do it that way.
yeah, that's the whole idea of what it is. It's
can I use
you
my
rolled an
advantage
attack
then?
roll, you don't like it, so you re-roll the attack roll.
I want to be able. I'm really bad at perceiving, so the idea was to. Can I use my advantage then to perceive what's ahead of me? Because I'm going to be going into a tight space alone.
We're gonna adjust on the fly here and say sure, why not? You
Okay.
perceive ahead of you. It seems like the rocks are good. You start crawling through as the goblin sails in there, and you get to the other side, and you can now see that the green thing appears to be like 3 greenish flames moving around in syncopation as if they were being carried by something. Sometimes they blink out and there's like whether it's a bullseye large lantern, whether something's carrying it around in the dark, but strangely enough, they're not casting real light around them. When they come back towards you, facing you, you see that they're projecting out like they're carried inside of something. When they turn away, you see the back of it, but they're not casting light per se as in lighting the room. It's artificial flame, if you will. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's really weird in here.
While he's checking it out, I'm gonna climb down the rock pile and go
Oh, good.
and stand over Stevens and say, "We wait for people who are stupid to volunteer first. Do you understand?"
Stephen says, "Aye,
Offering him my
Captain."
hand to help
And
him up.
he stands up and he's kind of nursing his ankle that got twisted on the way down.
Huxley.
You don't insult the healer. Do you understand? He is our healer. He makes sure that if we start dying, we don't keep dying. You don't insult our healer.
Ship surgeon, yes, sir.
Got it. Good boy.
Huxley, go over. Do you need me to check out your leg?
Yes, sir. And he, puts out his leg, and you can actually see that it is not just sprayed; it's like twisted. It's already turning black and blue.
Huxley will use cure wounds on him.
Oh, nice.
Just all the healing for the NPCs.
And
Don't you judge, Huxley.
Remy calls through the hole to Klaak. I'd be worried if it wasn't strange.
we're not going to burn your double healing on that one either. I'm going to leave that stand because it's not that many hit points of damage.
Thank you.
So
It's have you ever seen light that
He
does
gets
wow!
health points.
Oh my God! He looks better than before. He's like, he's like, my God! Whatever you just did there, he was. That's impressive. I can see why the captain, protects you so well. My apologies about trying to shove you before, and he has like a total respect for Huxley now.
It is Lathander's blessing upon you.
Good man.
Yes, lit. Yeah, lipbender, lipson.
Stefan, so
Yeah.
he here talks
Left
about
hander.
his god a lot. The crew does not officially follow this god. Huxley is still trying to talk us into it. We are considering options.
But there's only the Sea King, and the gods that the Sea King raises from the deep. Oh, aye, Captain. Aye, Captain.
Man,
And Lathander.
pat Huxley on the shoulder.
Remy, what is Godfrey doing right now? Because
I suppose Godfrey would be still helping to clear away the rubble, or if it stopped, then Godfrey would have returned to me.
okay, so he's just standing beside you. What are your plans?
Probably to follow after Klaak. Yeah, if the hole's big enough for Rembrandt to squeeze through and Godfrey to follow him.
All right, so you start following through. Klaak, you're still standing at the top of the pile and whatnot as Remy comes through, Godfrey scrabbling through after. Now the mass of NPCs is kind of surging, going, we've got a way out, and they're like, get out of here, whatever, if we've got a way out, and they're surging up, trying to force their way through. Do you guys want to make sure you get through first, or?
I would let them by if there's room, but I want to tell Rembrandt, what is light that doesn't cast light, but it floats like it's contained? And I'll try to point out what I see.
Remy, because you've come through the top and whatnot, you can see as he points to it and whatnot, and you see these three flames floating. I would like you to make this would be Arcana. Yeah, definitely Arcana. Go ahead and make an Arcana check. 7.
Yay.
Yeah, will-o'-the-wisp float like this. Will-o'-the-wisp tend to hang together, so it could be a group of will-o'-the-wisps that got trapped back here, although you normally hear about those in the woods. So these might be some that have been trained to work together and are underground, which would also explain the color doesn't seem quite right.
There could be mystical creatures of some sort, maybe servants possibly. I'd be wary of them.
All right, for the group that stayed behind, my question was, are you going through ahead of the NPCs, or are the NPCs going through ahead of you? Are you trying to help them and organize them so they don't maul each other?
Organize.
Organize them?
Firstly, so they don't maul each other.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I think I'll say, as your officers, it is our duty to make sure that the rest of the seafaring passage is safe.
Sweet.
Does that make sense?
Stiffens.
For all of you.
Who's feeling... Oh, some of them, they ain't... they could care less about you. Stiffens is totally on board, and, he's got his shiv.
Good man.
So, but some of the other ones are like, oh, heck no. And then, there's a little bit of, shall we say, shoving, directing, threatening, and whatnot to try and stop them, as you're describing that there's only one way through and whatnot, and you start helping some of them come through. In the meantime, Remy and Klaak, who are talking on the other side, these three lights, seem to have heard them talking in the stillness, which would kind of, I guess, make sense considering you're in an old underground area with nothing else. And Remy decides that it's full combat mode because now that, Godfrey's with him, and so combat begins.
Yeah.
Alex is like, stop it.
No, gracias.
No, these three lights do seem to have taken notice of you and start coming closer and floating up. And you realize as they get to the bottom of the pile that they're not three individual things floating together, but they are one thing carried inside of this bigger thing. And as it starts moving up the last, 5 feet, 10 feet, it's now within range that you can see it with your own, because now, I don't remember, Remy, did you have the torch with you?
Yes.
Okay, so
I'll go with that.
you had plenty of light with you. You came through this thing and whatnot. And whether it's coming to the light or your voices is unclear, but you can now make out this large skull with 2 eyes of green flame and a mouth of green flame that is coming right at you. And it's about 15 feet out. And we'll begin next week with you two on your own rolling for initiative, because there's a whole line of people coming through afterwards and your other 2 party members who have no idea what's going on this end.
Well, what I meant by officers is
well-
that all of us as officers would go through first, not the NPCs. But if that's how they interpret it and you interpret it, then that's what's happening. It's up to you.
Yeah, I heard we're helping the others through first, making sure they're taken care of. So
Yeah. Okay.
I guess we're dying to a demi-lich now. That's just what's going on here.
and we'll be
It
picking
is.
up
I
there.
don't think it's that. I think it's something else that I know of.
I would laugh hysterically if it was, though, because we'd just be so dead. We'd be ridiculously dead.
Well, I wasn't sure if we were going to take a rest in the other room
A
first, or
demi-lich would be worse than what I think it is.
I would imagine. I think a demi-lich is worse than most things.
Yeah, no, I think it's a flame skull.
Oh well.
I've used them before. They're fun.
Anyways,
So why don't you talk about what you got coming up for each of you, real quick, before we get ready to log off for the night, and I'll set up our stream right now.
I've been streaming more regularly, probably at least 2 times a week, up to 2 times a week. I really appreciate anybody that's come out and checked it out. Some of you I know are here tonight. I've appreciated all the support. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm really glad everybody has encouraged me to get back into it. Stranger.
Yeah, I wrote a little podcast that will update in the nearest future, hopefully, maybe we'll see, called Recommending Queers. We're just a little queer group of people who do the D&Ds, and then we record it and put it online. We've just recruited a new person, actually, so that's going to be exciting. Although, it's still going to be another, we recruited recently. You left about that. It's going to be, a lot of sessions before we get to it, but we're really excited to have them on board. So,
Awesome.
Kitty.
Hi, I run a YouTube channel. I've had a lot of in-life things going on, especially, there was a kitty that was adopted previously, before this kitty was adopted. He unfortunately had a blood parasite and did not make it. So we've had a lot of in-life things going on, but my YouTube channel should be back up and running soon, including, hopefully, some speed draws of all of our characters.
Ooh, very
So look forward
exciting.
to that. I will pass it on over to Rembrandt.
Hi, I'm Alex. I do a podcast with my siblings. We have not made an episode in a long time. We're going to make an episode as soon as my sister gets back from her honeymoon. That is the plan. I'm going to hold her to it. She doesn't even know that's the plan, but it's happening. I also have been considering streaming a little bit myself. Probably some roleplay, maybe some JRPGs. We'll see. But you can check me out at twitch.tv/AlexKermich. And you'll expect mild banter and low quality stream settings. as I get back into the swing of things. But I'll toss it over to you, Sean, if you want to say our goodbyes and thanks.
Klaak?
Oh,
I
Cool.
started.
Yeah.
Oh, you started,
first.
yeah. That's right. Sorry about that. For some reason, I was just thinking the king was going last. We were building up to it. Yeah. So hey, I do a couple shows here for D&D, and we're looking at doing some other streams as well, bringing in some things on some other nights, because it's a lot easier to do single-person streams than it is to do giant group D&D settings. So we're gonna have some fun with that. But I really just want to thank you all for being here with us tonight. You make every game special, from all the kerfuffle stuff you guys throw into the chat, to the suggestions, to naming a little tiny phoenix big sexy. You know, it's just fun, and you guys make it so. Thanks for joining our table. But whatever table you're at, whether it's at home, whether it's a table in your living room, whether it's a table in the kitchen or a table online, make it the best table possible. Give everybody your best. And you know what? Make some amazing memories and even better friendships along the way. You can find me at DM or Legend and Song. You can find me online. But otherwise, I'll see you here next Thursday night or on Sunday night at our other game. Bye from all of us at Plot Points. We're off to go raid Ghibli Jam right now. See y'all later, everybody.
Give him some love.
And